name's Aiden Carney.
Known online as
Turtle Boy and is a senior editor for
TBDailyNews.com.
They call me
Dr. Turtle Boy.
That's my preferred pronoun. Daddy.
What's up, Daddy?
Journalism Jesus. A. Timothy Carney.
The one and only Turtle Boy.
Turtle Boy.
What's up, Slick?
The doctor is here.
This guy's a bad motherfucker.
That's quite the intro.
I've broken a lot of major stories. I've been doing it for about 11 years. I used to be a high school teacher.
Turtle Boy has changed a lot over the years. I was once a blogger, but now I'm much more accurately known as an award-winning journalist, a satirist, and an activist. Boom!
They're screaming your name here.
You're the crowd daddy.
Crazy.
People either love me or hate me.
Listen, Turtle, all right?
But either way, they're watching.
Don't make such fun of the criminal justice system.
Stop it. I'm never gonna stop. This fight's just getting started. Now let's get this party started.
Yo, what's up, people? How's everybody doing out there? You guys hear me okay? All right. Hello, everybody. How could anyone not like the turtle? GFQ. All right. Welcome, everybody, to Daytime Daddy session. We don't do this very often, but when we do, it's awesome. Okay. All right. So anyway, I don't need to introduce myself, I don't think. If you are subscribing here, you probably know who I am. Feel free to smash that subscribe button if you haven't already, though. Hit the notification bell. You know, we have about 600 people on YouTube. Not bad for just starting. Daddy does need a haircut, big time. Probably this weekend. My son needs a haircut, too. So you get the discount if you do that. You go to McGreevy's, you get the discount. It's great. You know, the father-son disc, it's great. It's great. Like they encourage it. It's bonding time, getting a haircut with your son. Anyway, yeah, after our basketball game, we have a basketball game. We're 0-2. We're the Huskies. We're not doing too well, but that's okay. We have a lot of heart. Our team has a lot of heart. We don't have I had to draft this team. I didn't know anyone. I didn't know any fourth graders or third graders in town. I'm like, I had my son. I'm like, is this kid good? There's 3 elementary schools in town. So I'm like picking a team, and I'm like, does this kid go to your school? Which kids go to your school? This kid go? No, we never heard of half the kids. So you just got a blind. You're like, man, I hope I get like a 5-foot kid. That'd be really cool. I didn't get any, but we, what we lack for in size, we have a lot of heart. The Huskies have a lot of heart. And we're 0-2. We lost 34-13 in the last game. But the first one was close. It was 28-24. So, there's a lot of, people that are calling for my job with that, off to an 0-2 start. So we need a big win this weekend. So we'll see. So we got our basketball game, and I got to get a haircut. But anyway, what's going on here? Let's see. So anyway, we're just going to jump right into it. So yesterday we started with and this is like in the way, huh? Hold on. Well, actually, I'll put the mic right there. Is that better? All right. Anyway, yesterday we started with the whole Karen Reed interview with Rotten Mango, and today we're going to finish it. So we're just going to jump right into it. If you guys want your turtle chats read out loud to the class, we'll take periodic breaks, timeouts to read our turtle chats, or you can cash at me at $ Uncle Turtle Boy, and I can read your turtle chats that way. All right. So let's just jump right into it, shall we? All right, let's see. I'll lose it. Oh, there it is. All right, here we go.
All she can think about is the cameras.
He says, you see how crazy she is. She is more concerned about how she looks on TV.
She's more concerned she looks like on TV.
More of Proctor misrepresenting everything, including that. First of all, the only reason cameras were there is because the district attorney or the state police called cameras. I arrived at the state police barracks an hour later and they were all there. I was escorted from the barracks the next morning for my arraignment and they were all there and they were all at the courthouse. So the only reason cameras are involved is because you're parading me and trying to make a case out of this. You're trying to show me looking this way like a criminal, and that's why you call the cameras in. But
I mean, that's true, but it's a dead cop. Like that's why. Like they're going to do this for anyone who's accused. She was accused of killing a dead cop, right? So that's why they did that. Obviously, there's going to be cameras there, but yeah, you're right. It's like she wants to look good for the cameras. It's like, well, wouldn't you? You know, not like raggedy. I mean, whatever. I got arrested in a free Karen Reed sweatshirt, which was pretty boss. And if they told me to take it off, I had a free Karen Reed t-shirt underneath. So no way.
I should be allowed to put pants on or shoes. So Buchnick goes into my house. I see him on my own home surveillance system. He's in my house for about 10 minutes. I told him where my closet was, where the room was. I have a bunch of suits. I was a professional wearing suits and professional attire my whole career. I have a closet filled with these clothes, and I directed him to that closet. He instead goes to the barracks with a pair of flip-flops. I don't know where he found them from. My Havaianas that I wear to the beach, and ripped jeans that I had just taken off from mowing my lawn. They had holes. They didn't cover my ankles. I would never wear these jeans. The grass stains.
All right, here's all her medication and shoe wear that she wants. No, I'm gonna turn off my camera here.
I can't remember if they gave me the clothes to wear that night in the cell or if he gave them to me before I went to court in the morning. A girlfriend of mine came to the barracks in the middle of the night with court clothes, with black pants, a black top, and black shoes. And they would not allow me to put those clothes on for court. So I heard her come in. I was in the cell. And she said, can I give these for Karen for the morning? And they said something to her like, we can't guarantee that, but we'll take them. They gave them to me at some point the next day. They didn't allow me to put them on. Instead, they forced me to take the bag of clothes that Buchnick had secured, which was ripped jeans and flip-flops. That night was one of the worst nights of my life in the past 4 years because I called David from jail and he was worried. He was not able to tell me anything to allay my fright. I mean, it's not concern, it was fright. And he said, they've upcharged you with murder. I don't know how they're able to do that, on what evidence, but they've increased the charges. They want to keep you locked up now through trial, through verdict. But if we're asking for bail, they're requesting $1 million, which of course I did not have. So I spent the night knowing that I've got to go before a judge tomorrow. I didn't know what judge it would be. And I have to hope they lower this bail, that they allow me to post it. A judge can deny you bail altogether, that you're a danger to society. You've been indicted for murder. You're not going home.
There are active lawsuits between you and Michael Proctor, amongst others. You know, so there's
Hold on.
There's some things that you can't say.
I had a phone call real quick there.
Which of course I did not have. So I spent the night knowing that I've got to go before a judge tomorrow. I didn't know what judge it would be, and I have to hope they lower this bail, that they allow me to post it. A judge can deny you bail altogether, that you're a danger to society. You've been indicted for murder. You're not going home.
Yeah. So Cannoni had this is like the one decent thing she did the whole time is she had the ability to set bail at like $1 million. I think she could set it up to, or just no bail if she wanted to, but she's going to have some sort of bail because it's second degree murder. It's not like first degree. Like Brian Walsh is getting no bail, you know, because chopped her up, you know, but, you know, with this dude, with her rather, they think she killed the cop. And so if she told me I could do 100,000, I can't do 500,000. So that's scary. You know, it's like, if you're held on bail, it's like, you're going to be in there for a long fucking time. You can't earn money in there. There's nothing you can do. Somebody else has to go out and get it for you. And that's scary.
There are active lawsuits between you and Michael Proctor, amongst others. You know, so there's some things that you can't say, but there are things that are indisputable. So Michael Proctor himself has admitted that he has texted people in group chats. He texted that he hasn't found your nudes yet. He talked about and made fun of your medical condition, saying, quote, she's got a leaky balloon knot. It leaks poo. Calling you a, quote, whack job cunt. And then basically saying you are a babe with no ass.
She's got a leaky balloon knot.
You followed that up with the phrase leaks poo, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, she's a babe. Weird Fall River accent, though. No ass.
When did you first find out about these text messages? What was going on in your mind?
I knew there were vile text messages. They were under a federal protective order. They were first encountered by my team, by my lawyers in February of 2024, just before the first trial. I was not able to view these text messages. I just knew the generals, that they existed, and I knew they were involved in the cross-examination prep, which I was very involved in.
To have him, Michael Proctor himself, on the stand reading out what he sent, what's going on in your mind?
There had been some leaks on Twitter.
Yes, there.
That
Yes.
I saw an account. We called her a big, which I assumed someone like him uses.
We called her
on the
what?
stand reading out what he sent, what's going on in your mind?
There had been some leaks on Twitter that I saw an account. We called her a big, which I assumed someone like him uses language like that anyway.
So there were leaks on Twitter about what the messages were about. Krusty leaked them. Krusty leaked the what they were about because she talks to Elizabeth Proctor. She's like, "Oh yeah, he's used bad word." That's where I learned about it, because she talks to these douchebags and then they tell her, "Oh yeah, he's just calling her bad words." So that's how you knew the Proctor texts were bad.
I knew in general that they were vile, but when he read them, I was actually annoyed that Adam Lally preempted us bringing these messages out in cross-examination. That should have been our moment. He's your lead detective. You're letting him lay this case out. This is showing bias. And Adam Lally,
He had to do
and
that.
you always run into this issue with trial, that if the evidence has already come out, you risk the judge saying,
I get that she's annoyed by that, but like Adam Lally had to get ahead of that, because if he didn't get ahead of that, it would seem like he's hiding something from the jury. Like, oh, you didn't mention the fact that this dude has all these fucking shady texts. Like, what the fuck?
Mr. Jackson, Mr. Yannetti, that's already been asked and answered. So there was this worry that Lally is going to let Proctor read the text messages with very flat affect. And he did. You could barely understand. She's a babe with no ass. She has a leaky balloon on. And next, it was by design. Let's get him out there and preempt the defense from getting it out there. Luckily, we were still allowed, and we made the biggest moment of it. I cared more about his lies. What he said about me and my anatomy, it's disgusting, but it did not embarrass me. Michael Proctor does not have the ability to embarrass me.
There's a good quote. A lot of people were quoting Michael Proctor does not have the ability to embarrass me. See what I mean by like she's fucking strong and shit? She's like, no, Michael Proctor can't embarrass me. Michael Proctor is embarrassing. He's a joke. He couldn't embarrass me if he wanted to. And those messages don't embarrass Karen Reed at all. I don't think anyone. The Higgins ones did. The Higgins ones definitely did. But those ones, because that's like, bro, Higgins? Like, oh, yikes, you know? But that's why she didn't tell anyone about it. But like the Proctor ones, you seem like a victim, you know?
In fact, I have all that I have in my life right now, and the love and support and new endeavors such as this, and meeting people like you, ironically, because of Michael Proctor and what he tried to do to me. Joking about my apple. I mean, I don't even want to say it was a joke. He was talking about my rectum and that I've had rectal surgery. That this is a father of children, of boys, scarily. This is a husband of a woman, someone's son. This is a cop with power and carrying a gun.
That's the most important part. That's a cop. You know, a lot of people are coarse. A lot of people say gross shit. But he's not only he's a cop, he's investigating you. That's the problem.
And my age, more or less, and this is what this is his vernacular, a balloon knot, and talking about my rectum. You're not embarrassing me. You're embarrassing yourself. And my medical issues, I've never been embarrassed by. I've struggled to deal with them in society and in intimate situations. But I'm proud of what I've had to deal with. And the more I talk to people, and the older I grow, I know everyone's got something. No one's escaping completely in one piece as we age. I cared more about his lies, him lying so blatantly. Every search warrant, 9 of them, took the car at 5:30.
Exactly.
Why?
Exactly.
Because the CERT team, and this was another.
Exactly. That is the biggest thing. Is like the text messages were a distraction. It's what got him fired ultimately, and what made him the biggest douchebag in the world. The much bigger issue is he lied in a police report about what time he towed Karen Reed's car. Once she figured that one out, it was really interesting hearing her say that was her aha moment, was the fact they lied in that. That's in Can't Cover Up Part 1. You know, we revisited that a million times. They blamed that on daylight savings at first. Remember they did that? And then eventually they called it a Scrivener's error. That's how I knew these guys were corrupt, because they got caught. After Nicholas Barros, his police report showed that the car was towed by 4:15, not 5:30. They just called it a Scrivener's error. But they stuck by 5:30 for a long time, because 5:30 is not a small mistake. It makes it impossible for them to plant taillight. You understand that? That's the importance of that. That is the most fucked up thing about that.
A major lamppost in 2022 for me was when I was finally indicted after the awful experience of June 9th into June 10th. The floodgates opened and now we get all the discovery. And a cousin of mine who's an attorney, we agreed we'd get the discovery, which was thousands and thousands of pages. And we attacked it from, I think she went from the beginning to the middle and I went from the end to the middle. And she's a lobbyist. She was working full time, but every night she went home. I worked on it all day. She worked on it all night. And she called me one night. This isn't about July. So I've been indicted now and upcharged for a month and we're working our way through our discovery. I don't know what day, I would be guessing, but it was like a Thursday, a weeknight. She calls me at about 10 or 11 and she said, Karen, read the CERT report. This is the Crime Scene Services search team. It's an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. And there's a whole box for a narrative about the evidence that was found at 35 Fairview. And there's only 4 lines that I needed glasses to read what they said. And it was that the first pieces of red and clear lens were found at 34 Fairview. I can't remember if the report said 5:45 or 6 p.m. And then all of a sudden my light was not there all day long because that was something I could not reconcile for months and months in 2022. But how did my taillight get there? How did they somehow find pieces of it broken at John's house from when I hit John's car at 5 a.m? And were they able to transport those? That's the only thing I could figure out. And I still didn't have an answer as to why he lied about taking my car at 5:30 when he actually took it and left.
This picture, it's so exciting knowing what we know now to think about. I mean, exciting, but also horrible to think about how she pieced this together. That's what makes this interview interesting and her story interesting is she's telling you piece by piece how, because we all know the story now. We all know how they framed her and this, that, but it's interesting in real time when Karen tells it, like how she figured this all out together. Like she couldn't figure out the taillight. It bothered her. Like if you were her, like, I know I didn't fucking hit him. So why is there taillight there? Why is there taillight? If they code my car, like, why is there taillight there? And then it like starting to figure it out and realizing what time the car got there. And then it just fucking makes sense.
4:15. And it was that night in July, the CERT team did not find taillight until after Proctor had the taillight. And he had to get himself out of Canton at 5:45. If he's in Dighton at 5:30 in Blizzard, 35 miles from Canton, there's no way he can be in Canton with the Lexus and the Lexus's red taillight at 5:45. And it was just the biggest eureka of more than the text messages, more than the butt dials, more than the phone and the SIM card cut up at the Air Force Base. To me, it was the cornerstone because it just bothered me.
I loved that she said this. This is so good. Like, because she knows, like, that's the big thing. Fuck the butt dials. Like, fuck all that shit's so shady and shows that they're up to something. It doesn't prove anything other than that they're liars, right? It can't, that would probably not be enough to convict them of murder or anything like that. But this is like the taillight being not them lying at what time Michael Proctor took the car was a deliberate lie. And now she knows for sure that's why they lied, because they're planting taillight, period. I love this.
I just couldn't reconcile how did my taillight get there? I know I did not break my taillight at 35. I tried to think of every scenario.
Aaron's holy shit moment had to be overwhelming. God, which one? Think how many holy shit moments there were. How about the Google search? When they found that out in, what was it, March? I think they found that in March of 2023. A month before they put in a filing. Picture that moment. Like, holy fucking shit. Picture the chills that they got reading that Google search, knowing, oh my God. Like, picture that. Think of all the shit that goes along with that, where it's been over a year now. You've been indicted. You know, you're facing murder charges, and you're like, then you get this piece of evidence that shows that this, like, it probably gave you fucking chills. It gave me chills when I understood what the Google search meant at 227. That was the biggest thing. That was like, oh, that was the most salacious thing. And it's fucking true. She did Google that at 227. Undeniably, she did that. And they have to try hard to be like, no, because it shows how cold-blooded she is. Jennifer McCabe. Picture that moment. Like, oh my God. It's just so real. Like, holy fuck. And not only that, it's a double holy fuck, because you're like, they withheld this. Nicholas Garino extracted the phone and we didn't get this. We had to hire an independent expert to get this. Holy shit, they've been hiding this the whole time. Not only are they framing me for a murder, they know who else did it. They saw this and they looked the other way. Like, holy shit. And she deleted it.
Which I could have, and none of it was reasonable. And then I realized that moment it was placed there after they had access to it.
And the inverted footage.
And of the inverted footage. I mean, inverted footage didn't come for 2 more years. But when Proctor was on the stand reading the messages,
It's a whack job. See you.
Objection.
So don't spell it. You have to. So these are your words, Trooper Proctor?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead and say them.
Yeah, she's a babe. Weird Fall River accent, though. Though.
I'm going through his client's phone right now, correct?
Yes, after the picture, sir, yes.
Who's the client?
I was referring to Miss Reed.
He also called her retarded, correct?
That is what's written.
And that's what you read.
I have no memory of reading that. I
Oh my
acknowledged him
God.
going through the phone on my Apple Watch. I have no memory of him writing
I have no memory.
retarded on a text message.
Did you encourage that statement by Michael Proctor by liking it with a thumbs up?
I don't know if it encouraged him, but so I cannot speak
But
to
that's
that.
what
Oh
you
my
did.
God.
I acknowledged the text message being sent.
How close did you remain in contact with Michael Proctor after high school?
Very close.
Could you read all of them, please?
These are not my words. I'm not really comfortable reading these. Do I have to say these words out loud?
I'll say the words, and I'm going to ask you if I'm reading accurately. Is that better?
Yes.
11 p.m.
Really can't believe they got away with this. We're going to bring in some of his friends to read his on the other side of the messages to read them. Like, that's crazy. Remember this guy with the nice head of hair? But the only thing I don't like about him is he's still friends with Proctor. How could you be friends? How could anyone be friends with him?
5 minutes, 57 seconds. Mr. Proctor says, from all accounts, he didn't do a thing wrong. She's a whack job, and then uses the C word to describe.
Say
Is that
it.
accurate?
That's accurate.
Say
At the bottom from one member in the group stating, oh, she's skating.
Yes.
Mr. Proctor responds, 0 chance she's skated. She's effed. She's fucked.
Yes.
And then one person in the group says, no ass bitch. Accurate?
Yes. That's accurate.
Mr. Proctor, there's a response, laughed at, quote, no ass bitch.
Yes.
Somebody in the group says, is that
No
shit they
ass
smoke?
bitch.
And
No
then the
ass
same person
bitch.
follows up with a question mark. Accurate?
Accurate.
Mr. Proctor responds, EH.
Yes.
Nutbag, as my chief would say.
Yes.
She's got a leaky balloon knot.
Yes.
Leaks poo.
Yes.
Are those the words of Mr. Proctor?
They are.
Did I read those accurately?
You did.
But you're still friends with him?
I am.
he could be a pig and I could still be guilty.
Exactly.
That's why I wanted the focus of
Yes.
the jury to be on Proctor's lies and the actual framing and how was this orchestrated, and not on the fact that this man is a vile pig who talks about people's rectums. You could still have a guilty woman and just a very unprofessional.
Exactly. And that is exactly what the anti said. That's why it's like, I'm with her. The strongest shit against all those messages, those were great at making him look like a douchebag. And that's kind of how he lost his job. So I'll take it. To me, those mean shit compared to the fact that he lied about what time he towed the police, what time he towed her car from her house in Dighton. That is a million times more important.
Investigator. I cared much more about the lies that enabled him to pull off what he pulled off. And the text messages were just, I just spent my energy assuring my parents that do not feel bad for me. This man does not have that power over me. Anyone who looks at me differently because some stranger who's never seen me naked is going to talk about my anatomy. Anyone who finds that entertaining or is going to judge me for it isn't anybody I want in my life anyway.
Yeah. During the trial, you're sitting there, the witnesses are going up onto the stand, they're testifying. They're like, Karen did this, Karen said this. How do you not go up and testify? Do you not have the urge to be like, no, let me tell you?
I did have the urge, and I tried to quell that and to satiate it by doing the documentary so that I could go back to the hotel at night and be interviewed. The judge was appearing to be so much more lenient with her rulings with the prosecution than she was with us. I mean, we had to fight for everything. And it seemed to be a one-way street, that there was a worry if I testified, the prosecutor, especially Brennan, he seemed to be given even more latitude than Lally was. He did this with our witnesses. He was putting words in their mouths in his questions of those witnesses. Not exactly, but for example, something like he would say to Dr. Wolf from ARCA. So after a car has backed up 60 feet at 20 miles an hour and damaged this arm, then did the car keep going? Like you can't testify for the witness. Wolf has to agree that car, I can't remember the numbers anymore. I used to know them with precision and now I don't, but he would ask a question and insert the answer he wanted, which he shouldn't be allowed to do, but he was. So there was real risk. Same with risks putting Proctor on the stand, that we're not playing by the same rules, that Brennan was just so unethical in his questioning. I was really all right. I had lived 3 years before the first trial of long hearings, battling for things. I was getting used to it at this point. I don't think the public really started paying attention outside of the local market, really started paying attention until trial. But we had hours and hours of hearings for 3 years, including two arrests where I was in chains, shackled and
Hold
handcuffed.
on.
So I had gotten
We
very
got to
good
go
at
back on that part.
insert the answer he wanted, which he shouldn't be allowed to do, but he was. So there was real risk Same with risks putting Proctor on the stand, that we're not playing by the same rules, that Brennan was just so unethical in his questioning. I was really all right. I had lived 3 years before the first trial of long hearings, battling for things. I was getting used to it at this point. I don't think the public really started paying attention outside of the local market.
Disagree. I don't think the public started paying attention outside of the local market.
Really started paying attention until trial.
Disagree. And Karen knows that's not true. Certainly the trial exploded. So I had prior to the first trial, I had about 50,000 followers on Twitter. After the trial, I had 100,000. Okay. So certainly the trial put a much bigger spotlight on it. Like Emily Baker did not cover any of the pretrial stuff. Neither did any of these people. They went into that trial blind, right? It's not like the Corey Richins stuff where they cover all the pretrial stuff with any of that. Right. Or Koberger. With hers, they just went in completely blind. And so, yeah, I guess, because of that, it was my reporting and my coverage. And then some other YouTubers who kind of jumped on after that. Yeah. Melanie started in 124. When I was in jail, that's when she kind of got onto the case. The glare started in October of 2023 when I came on his YouTube presentation, or maybe September when I came on his. I went on LTLs in October. I went on the Crawford's in like August, but then he didn't really cover it. He just did like Board of Selectmen shit, but he didn't really like cover the case. So I disagree with that statement. So it's kind of, it definitely exploded after the trial started. But prior to the trial, those pretrial hearings were big. And, like the pretrial hearing on July 25th, 2023, or September 15th, 2023. I had big crowds outside. We were out there protesting with the megaphone and doing all that stuff, and we filled that courtroom. The hearing on May 3rd of 2023 was standing room only. There were people standing in the aisles. I don't know if you've seen that. Like, they actually had people standing in there. It was crazy. So this definitely blew up prior to trial.
We had hours and hours of hearings for 3 years, including 2 arrests where I was in chains, shackled and handcuffed. Yes. So I had gotten very good at venting to the people that were there to be vented to. And I knew if I can escape this hell, I will be able to get my side out. So it wasn't as bad as people think. Like, how did you watch this person and not scream? I felt very close to God. I felt my parents' presence behind me. I had my lawyers who became like family, all of them to me. And I knew they were frustrated on my behalf. And I knew the public, especially by the second trial, the public knew what was happening.
There was a billboard on Route 1 in Foxborough by, was it October or no, it was in September. By September of 23, there was a billboard on there. So like it was hard to miss. It certainly was not getting the coverage it deserved. But Ted Daniel was real into the federal stuff by November or December of 2023. So it was definitely out there, but it was a Boston market.
Karen, this isn't your scourge. This is not your cross alone. Everybody behind you and around you is carrying it. Do not let it eat at you. Do not let that person control you. They were all so repetitive and so like one another.
Yeah,
I don't recall.
I
wish I'd known. I wish I had gone outside. And it wasn't laughable. It was very serious, but it was very predictable. And I hope it was transparent to the jury, and apparently it was to both juries because I was acquitted both times.
Yeah, and you're right. And so like it was pretrial shit, but I'm saying the pretrial shit was big. Obviously the trial was bigger, but let's not poo-poo the pretrial stuff. The pretrial stuff was big. Like there were crowds every fucking hearing. Even when I went to jail, it continued. I was worried about that. I'm like, oh, I hope this continues when I'm in here. And it did. And it was great to see that the torch got carried on. It was awesome.
Did you get a vibe that Auntie Bev did not like you?
Yeah.
Judge Cannone.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I felt that Judge Cannone did not. I felt that she had a personal animus towards me. Absolutely. I felt it very early on. In our early hearings in 2022, we wouldn't be called right away because there were other cases. They started prioritizing us, and we were drawing such crowds that when we would have a hearing, they would get it started very promptly to help clear the courthouse, get us all in and get us all out, get the media out, and then hear other cases. But early on, when it wasn't attracting a big crowd, we would wait our turn, and there'd be other cases and other defendants called. And I was sitting at a hearing, I want to say it was September of 2022. It was like the first hearing that Alan was on the team for, and we were sitting in the back row If you're looking at the courtroom on the left side, waiting, and there were maybe 4 other cases that she called, and every defendant, it was all 4 men, maybe 1 woman. Thank you for being here. Thank you for dressing professionally for court. She said this. It was on repeat for every. Thank you for being here. Thank you for dressing professionally to court. This happened in multiple hearings. She never said it to me. There were moments that I felt she was ruling unfairly, but as far as not liking me.
See, that's an interesting little tidbit there. That Auntie Bev, I didn't know that. That's something I learned from this interview, is that Auntie Bev was telling all the other defendants, like, because it was odd the way she's treated. It's odd the way I'm treated. You see the way Krupp treats people, and he's like fair, and then I come in there and he's all mean. Like if the judge just doesn't, it's crazy that like a judge's mood affects your due process. Like that's crazy.
That was the first indication I felt she may not like me personally for some reason. And then there was a moment with the verdict form in trial 1 where, I mean, your viewers need to see the verdict form if they haven't, that they then tried to present in the second trial. Again, this verdict form, it had, just by setup, it had the word guilty 8 times and the word not guilty 3 times. It's visually confusing. It's visually confusing, and it's prejudicing the jurors to think I'm guilty because they just see the word guilty so many times. So Alan is arguing with the court and with the clerk that we want to revise this verdict form. And she's arguing this is how it's always done, Mr. Jackson. This is how it's done in Massachusetts. I mean, that was the topic of what was happening at the time. And she just kind of dismissed it. And we're done here. And I went, like, just like that. And she said, is this funny, Ms. Reed?
That was so unprofessional.
I disagree with you. All right. Excuse me. This is funny, Ms. Reed. All right. We're done.
All right, to the court, please.
Look at Megabeth there. Look at
Yes,
Megabeth.
said,
Look at Megabeth.
is this funny, Ms. Reed?
Watch Megabeth's face when she says this. Watch this.
I disagree with you. All right. Excuse me. This is funny, Ms. Reed. All right. We're done.
All right, to the court, please.
Look at her. It's like you dropped off a plate of sausage in front of her. I've never seen her that happy. Megabeth is like, oh, nice, excellent. I guess I'll stand up.
Prejudicial towards me, the defendant, that she chose to characterize my exasperation as making a joke of the proceeding. Is this funny, Ms. Reed? My jurors and the media heard that, and that was a gross mischaracterization.
Jurors hear it?
Judge Cannoni knows exactly what my reaction was. It was one of disbelief and exasperation and frustration. And she addressed me. I have lawyers here who speak on my behalf. You can address my lawyers who can address me, but you addressing me directly is baiting me to then respond to the court, which will not end well for me.
Right.
But
that's such a good point that I hadn't thought of before. That like it is completely inappropriate, and this is why this is interesting. You're picking up some tidbits here. Like we've all watched that interview. We were like, "What a cunt!" That's most of our takeaway from that, right? Is Judge Cannoni saying that Auntie Bev, like, what? Oh, typical Auntie Bev. She's being a cunt. But it's also completely inappropriate for the judge to address the client, the defendant, that way. You have counsel for a reason because they speak for you. When the judge speaks directly to a defendant like that, you are baiting them to respond. Are you not? Like, it's human nature to respond. Like, you're going to say something that's funny to you, Miss Reed. That's asking her a question. Do you think that's funny? You're right, though. The jurors did not hear that unless they were cheating. They would not hear that. But that's a really interesting point that she brings up. I've never thought of before.
And the list goes on, but her calling me out, like, she knows what I'm going through right now.
Yeah.
She knows how difficult this is.
Oh, she's enjoying
for any defendant to stand trial.
She is enjoying it.
When the verdict was read, we were prepared for a sentencing hearing. So my legal team in the days of the verdict watch was split up into 2 groups. At the hotel, Alan had a suite at one end of the top floor, and Bob Alessi had a suite at the other. And we had 2 teams. Liza, Evan, Alan, and I were working on the closing argument. David, Yannetti, Bob, and Sophie and Sydney, 2 of our interns, were in Bob's room working on a sentencing hearing. So if, God forbid, I was convicted of anything, which we thought there was a likelihood I could be convicted of the OUI based on how the first trial ended, hung up, jurors were telling us they were looking for an OUI, not a manslaughter OUI, but just garden variety OUI that was not there. They were working on sentencing that if I was convicted of OUI, we fully expected, I did anyway, my lawyers were split, that Brennan would ask for the maximum 2 years. So it was such a difficult decision to put the OUI on the slip because I felt I was almost guaranteeing It
was ballsy. According to juror number 4, who I spoke with, he told me that they definitely like that was a good strategy, that they wanted to, they did, some people wanted to convict her or something. People like to punish drunk drivers, especially when they're like admitted drunk drivers, especially when they come across as privileged, as Karen Reed does in court. And yeah, so, I mean, she does come across that way. She dresses well. Those are not cheap suits. she's attractive, you know, she appears to come from a good, you know what I mean? It's like she's not going to get the benefit of the doubt from a lot of, or sympathy from a lot of these people. So they wanted to convict her of something. You know, I was torn on that, whether or not they should put a DUI on there. I'm still not convinced that they would have convicted her of anything. I still think, but whatever. She got like a fucking class. Another thing I was thinking about that class, like her punishment, like, how'd you like to be in Karen Reed's DUI class? That must have been interesting. That's one. See, when I was watching this interview, I'm like, that's a question I would ask if I was the interviewer. I'd be like, because that's an interesting tidbit that people would like to know. They're like, so what was the DUI class like? Did you have to like go in person and like sit there? Did you get recognized in the DUI? Like everybody must have known who you are. Like imagine you were in Karen Reed's DUI class. Imagine you got a DUI and then you had to do the class, right? And then you went to it and it's like, shit, Karen Reed's here. Fuck, that's crazy, dude. Can I get a selfie like in my DUI class? Like that's crazy. That's a question. That's something I want to know the answer to. And that's the Turtle Boy interview kind of shit.
It's going to go to jail. That with this district attorney and this judge, if I don't put OUI on, the jury is forced.
Zoom
if they
DUI?
want to convict me, it's going to have to do with John's death. But once I put OUI on, just drunk driving, I'm much more likely, based on the evidence, the blood alcohol taken in the hospital, I'm more likely to get a conviction.
Yeah.
And while I'm not facing life in prison, I could be facing 2 years in prison. I had to have, I got about a dozen character letters, they're called, of not friends and family, but teachers I've had, students I've had, coworkers of mine. And the character letter has to be written on the premise that you are guilty. You're not arguing for my innocence. You have to accept the conviction, but then argue for the judge based on my character and what they know about me personally, that she should go light on sentencing. So I'm in one room preparing for a full acquittal with Alan's clothes. And then I'm running down the hall and making sure all the character letters are getting printed. And we have case law for the judge that this is a first time OUI. What do you do for a first time OUI? You suspend their license and they go to a drunk driving class. If Brennan, which we expected was going to argue for jail time, we had to have a robust motion in opposition. Why not? So the verdict is read. I'm relieved, but I'm still waiting after the final not guilty, the leaving scene was read. I still have sentencing because I was found guilty of the OUI. So Judge Cannoni looks at Hank Brennan and says, and what do you recommend for sentencing? And this was almost more shocking than the verdict. Truly shocking. Like I had expected it, if I had to bet an appendage, had thought if I was convicted of OUI or anything, Brennan would ask for the max sentence. And I thought she would split the baby and say, well, the max is 2, I'm gonna give her a year, which is still devastating. So she looks to Brennan and he says, the Commonwealth recommends 1 year probation with a suspended license. And she looks at him and says, same as every other first time offender. And he goes, same as every other first time. And it was like the most charitable thing. Actually, not even charitable.
So when that happened, Bettero said that. I've rewatched a lot of people's reactions to it. Bettero was like, credit where credit is due. He did the right thing. Disagree. Hard disagree. My take on that immediately after court, I went outside and you can watch my stream. I'm like, this piece of shit did this because he doesn't have the fucking balls to step foot in that courtroom again. After the massive, massive L that he just took, the humiliation of getting paid all that money and not coming through for the O'Keefe family. There is no way this motherfucker's stepping in that courtroom again. He's done. If he had convicted her of anything, like, no, you know what I mean? He would not have asked for a sentencing hearing. Dude, he would, trust me. He did that. He did not do that for any sort of noble or charitable purpose. He should not be commended for that. He did that because he's a pussy. He couldn't show, and he's never shown his face again. No one's seen him since, besides the Duncans in Dover. Nobody has seen that bitch ass ever again because he's a pussy and he can't show his face. That fucking loser, Hank.
I'm miscalibrated. It was fair.
You're not used to that.
Hey, Mr. Brennan, what's the Commonwealth's recommendation?
The Commonwealth moves to sentencing. We recommend probation 1 year, 24D program.
So the standard that everybody else gets on their first time OUI?
Certainly.
Okay.
We ask that you be treated no differently, no better.
So I'm happy to do it. All right. Thank you all.
1 year probation on docket number 002.
It's the wildest turn of events. I couldn't believe that this man, Brennan, was just arguing in his closing argument 2 days earlier for me to spend my life in prison. And then he has a moment with a judge that seems favorable to him to send me to jail enough to hurt. A week is enough to hurt. And he says, just slap her on the wrist. I looked at him and it just, so is this, were you faking all along? Or this is the only way to be saved with your public image is you lost.
Yes.
So now you almost have to be reasonable.
No.
This is just it just felt like a big game.
I disagree with her that she's saying that he's trying to do this to save his public image. No, he's doing it because he's a pussy. He didn't want to see the cameras again. He was out. You know why he didn't want to do a sentencing hearing? Because then he'd have to come back in 3 weeks. He's out. He's done. He is checked out. He is never coming back ever again. He doesn't give a shit. He took that money and he fucking ran. That's what he did.
They call in the jury. They're about to read the verdict. They stuff the courtroom with court officers because if I'm guilty of, if I'm sentenced to anything requiring incarceration, and if I'm convicted of murder, I'm getting cuffed right there on the spot. I can't reach behind and squeeze my mother. I can't hug one of my lawyers. It's over. And I'm walking out the back door. So they surround.
Yeah, the coolest thing, the most surreal part about this that I got to witness, that not to brag, but like then everybody else didn't get to witness, is the 15 minutes leading up to the verdict when the cameras were not on and it was just Karen's team and her family in the court with the media. That was it. There was no O'Keefe's. There was no judge. There was no jury. Nothing. There was no Hank Brennan. Nothing. It was just her family and her interns all hugging each other and Alan Jackson pacing around. Dude, it was so, I have never, and then I'm hearing outside, hear the fucking helicopters, and I look outside, the barricades are coming out. It was the most intense experience of my life ever. And that was the craziest thing that I got to experience. It's very cool.
Around you and to prevent any outburst and to control me. And then in the blink of an eye, it's, yeah, just make her go to a DUI class. And there's a parade out front for her too, by the way. It was just, that was the most befuddling of the 3 months of the second trial, was when Brennan said, yeah, just 1 year probation. I'm like, wait a minute. You've been trying to end my life. Can you at least be consistent and pretend you think I'm a bad person? Can you just finish the charade? And even with the judge.
So the standard that everybody else gets on a first-time OUI?
Certainly.
Okay.
It was same as every other. I haven't felt same as every other defendant at all in this courthouse. That I was still in shock at that I was convicted of the OUI and that Brennan didn't argue, and all that work we did, of course, because we were prepared. We didn't need it, thank God. But that was one of the more shocking events of the second trial for me.
It is more. There are some crazy.
So while she's doing a break here, let me read a turtle chat or two if we have any here. We have Carrie Berry sends $50. Thank you, Carrie. And she says, I hope you won't have to slay as deposition daddy next December. But if so, we are here for it. God bless you, Aiden. Yeah, there's no depots in criminal trials. It would just be on the stand daddy, I guess. Stand up daddy. And, but you only get deposed in civil trials. But I get it. And I will be there no matter what. If we have to beat this in December, we have to beat this in December. Whatever it takes, we're going to beat this. But hopefully in 9 days, we don't have to deal with this anymore. Wouldn't that be fucking nice, huh? If we have an actual fair judge who follows the law and says that this guy cannot continue to be the prosecutor in this case, that would be dope. Okay. If anybody else wants their messages read, you can either cash at me at $ Uncle Turtle Boy, or do we have any cash apps? Let's see. Or you can hook it up with a link at the top for Turtle Chat. Carly sends $10, goes, get to hyping. Class, hyped, and diped. Okay. Thank you very much. Let me just refresh this so we don't miss anyone. If we have anyone else. No, we're good. Okay, cool. So hook it up. Get the grift going. Let's go. Here we go.
Headlines that I think maybe you can clear the air on. If you want to pass me Exhibit A. So I'm going to read you the headline and the accompanying photo that they put with this headline.
Okay.
And then some comments. And I feel like probably what happened is nothing like the headline.
I'm sure.
Thank you. This is the first headline by the New York Post.
Of course.
Who does not like you for some reason. And the headline is, Karen Reed flashed sinister smirk as gory photos of her dead cop boyfriend are shown in court. I'm imagining that was not.
No. First of all, I'm talking. My eyes are wide open. I'm looking that looks to my right. That's Alan or Liza sitting there. And
yes,
I'm going,
that is what I witnessed.
Something. I mean, I can reproduce that face very, very easily. But
yes, exactly
I'm not smirking. I'm actually just speaking. And I don't think I spoke or turned at all when the photos were shown. I looked, and I remember this very clearly. But I've seen those photos. Yeah. They're on my phone. Yeah. I've poured through them to his pores. I know his photos. I've watched his autopsy. Those photos, as shown in court, I've had for years, and I've analyzed. It took us. There's a burn mark on his sternum that we couldn't figure out for months what it was, and finally realized. I think I Googled or described it to Google. It was he was burned with the defibrillator pads. I'm just giving an example of they were horrifying to see. For several weeks, I told David not to upload them to the Dropbox that lived on my cell phone because I didn't want there to be any chance I'd be scrolling through Dropbox and there it was. The autopsy took me like a year. It's quite gruesome. I can't believe people do this for a living, but I had to know everything so I could piece everything together. But I don't believe I spoke ever or turned to speak to a lawyer. Well, the photos of his body were up on the projection.
That's what we assume.
But I do look like that when I talk sometimes, unfortunately.
This one is also wild. Karen Reed rolls eyes, snaps at defense team as she stands trial in murder of Boston cop boyfriend John O'Keefe.
Oh, I'm sure I rolled my eyes. I know I've rolled my eyes many times. I speak very emphatically to the defense team. I'm very animated and emotional, but I have never snapped.
By the way, thank you to X News for gifting 1 Turtle Boy Live membership. Thank you. You get access to the Friday stream. Thank you to whoever won the lucky membership. Thank you very much.
At them.
Imagine.
Even if I wanted to, which I've never wanted to,
Yeah.
I would never do that. But there were many times in
News,
trial
11.
that I looked at a lawyer. It was easiest to look to David because my back would be to the camera, but I can't help it.
Yeah.
I definitely rolled my eyes during trial many times.
And honestly, it's crazy that they're doing this. And like the people's comments is even crazier because I don't know what people want from you. Like, do they
No,
want you
you
to kill it? Do they want you to?
You can't win for losing.
Yeah.
If you're crying, then I am out of tears. I'm out of tears about the tragedy of January 29th. I have mourned for months and years before the public ever knew me. But that's why lawyers advise you've got to look at the way the jury's looking at it, that they're seeing those photos for the first time. You have to pretend like it's hard for me to pretend much. I can't fake things. Then I feel like I look like a faker. So I try to be stoic. I could not cry. I would not allow myself to cry. I would not cry in front of the O'Keefes. I would not cry in front of the prosecution. I felt both of those groups were looking at this completely backwards. They were refusing to see the truth or willingly not looking at the truth. And I needed to stay strong. I couldn't break down. I did one day going into court. It was just, I just had a really tough time getting out of the SUV. It was just a rough morning. I couldn't go up and down emotionally like that. I had to go in strong. I had to go in tough, and I had to maintain it. I had to control myself the best I could. And I wasn't about to strap myself in to an emotional roller coaster. I would never survive. I had to do this twice. So I understand. I do understand the public saying that's horrible what I just heard or what I just saw. First of all, things that may have seemed emotional and upsetting to the public, I may have found to be insincere. But a lot of the gruesome images I have dealt with and seen nearly daily. I understand the reaction of the public, expecting more emotion, but I have evolved to a different place.
You were just damned if you do, damned if you don't. Yeah.
Yep.
If you had to go to lunch with either Lally or Brennan, who would you go to lunch with?
I would go with Brennan.
Oh, really? Okay.
I would go with Brennan. I feel that I make him very uncomfortable.
Your Honor, my brief review of the lab paperwork and looking at the hoodie, it appears that I made a mistake.
We've had some stare-offs in the courtroom. Lally, I don't have pleasant thoughts about either one of them. I don't think they're honorable. I don't think they have integrity. I don't think they're honest. I wouldn't want to eat or watch either of them eat. Yeah. But I think I'd have better stories to tell eating with Hank Brennan.
I saw online, everyone calls Lally Lullaby, and
You have 1 minute, Mr.
If people talk about that, that's kind of a takeaway. I mean, that's a good answer, but also like, I don't know, like give you 2 hours of Karen Reed, ask anything you want. To me, that's like, I don't know. I'd have different questions. This, she seems young. This, I'm not taking everything. She's very successful and blah, 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 all that disclaimer. But like, I don't know. I definitely saw like some of these questions were like, I don't know if you got the first interview with Karen Reed, it's kind of like a weird, I don't know, like silly. I don't know, but whatever. I mean, it was an interesting answer. I would have had so many different questions, but
Lally, wrap it up.
Yes, sir. All consistent with pieces of taillights that are found within his clothing.
she's 30. Okay.
I'm just coming to my clothes.
It's very monotone.
Yeah.
I was really surprised at how neither seemed to really prepare much. Like Lally might have read, I can't even remember, you don't practice a memory, you don't remember it anymore. And you tend not to want to practice painful memories. So I can't remember if Lally read, I think he did for his opening and closing arguments in the first trial, but Brennan did not. And I think he was trying, I'm guessing, if I had to guess, that he was trying to convey an ease with the subject matter, a comfort and familiarity and conviction in the subject matter, and an intelligence that I can speak extemporaneously about what this woman did. I know so well, and I believe so strongly that she did it, that I'm going to walk around and pontificate. And we were much more structured, but I know the details of this case. I know them. And I know he messed a lot of them up. And I mean, the jurors didn't have their notebooks in closing argument, so it was probably lost on them, luckily for Brennan, but he should have written, at least some bullets for the details, for the data points.
Clearly, this is a hypothetical question. If you could put at least 2 people involved in your case, inject them with truth serum, compel them to tell the truth, which 2 people would you choose?
Michael Proctor and Brian Albert.
See, that's an interesting question. Michael Proctor and Brian Albert. I would pick differently. Like, I thought about this too when I heard this. I'm like, what did I say? I would say Brian Tully because he's such a fucking liar. Oh, Brian Tully's the one that Michael Proctor was not there when Taillight was planted. Brian Tully was. Brian Tully hid like, why didn't you look into the Ford Edge? I would say Brian Tully, and I was thinking Brian Albert too. I think I would do both of them, Brian Tully and Brian Albert. So I picked one of them.
What would you hypothetically want to know or ask?
The truth
about that night, about everything?
No, for sure. She's definitely doing
the
something.
night, the months.
You know, so does, you know, it's like, I'm not taking anything away from her. That's not a shot at her. She's great. She has 1,000,000 times more subs than me. So what am I going to say? But I didn't like the question. I like the second question about the truth serum.
I have a pretty good guess of how things, I've seen these men, they were on tape sparring and shadow boxing just minutes before.
Welcome, member.
Just minutes before. I can surmise based on what I know of these people, what I know of John when he's been drinking, what I've seen of Colin Albert when I've had to cross paths with him. I can surmise what happened. I'm more curious about whom they had to enlist in other events that unfolded over the following months as we
exactly. I wouldn't
made headway, probably much to their disbelief.
Have you run into them since the trial? Any of them? Like in public? What would you do if you did?
That's a good question. I want to say no, but let me think about it. Like I was in a bar. I was at the Warren Tavern in Charlestown, and a girl who works there is a very staunch supporter. She was at many of the trial dates, and she had told me that Brian Albert.
Oh, this is Erica Walsh. Erica Walsh got a shout out. This is Erica Walsh she's talking about. That Brian Albert had
been in there. I know that I've missed Brian Albert a couple times. My guess is he is not embraced in Boston establishments the way I am. But no, I don't.
No, she's absolutely 100% right about that. Wherever Karen Reed goes, people ask for selfies because everybody knows she's innocent. She's the rare defendant that's like complete. Nobody does that with Casey Anthony or OJ. People do that with her because she's innocent and everybody knows it. And Brian Albert, when he goes out, he has to like disguise himself because people are like, oh, there's the people that killed John O'Keefe. Like that video of him in the food court with that chick just be like, we're here for justice for John O'Keefe. Like that's one of my favorites. And I couldn't even like endorse that because they're like, it's witness intimidation. It's not. That makes me happy. I can't help but smile when I see that. When I see Brian Albert going out in public because they killed someone and they got away with it. And it's like, oh, so people just can't point that out ever when they go out. People can't be like, yo, that guy killed someone. We can't talk about that because it's witness intimidation. Fuck out of here. And by the way, thank you to my guy, Barry Lewis, for sending $25. And he says, morning, Doc. Well, thank you very much, Barry. If anyone else wants their turtle chats read out loud, click at the link at the top for turtle chat, or you can cash at me $$ Uncle Turtle Boy.
I think I've run into. Thankfully, I don't care to see. I don't fantasize about it. I don't need to see any of these people.
What about like people who think you're guilty? Like, have you run into them in public, and how could you tell? Because is that what they say? How they act? Yeah,
I had one person out of at this point over several thousand come up to me on Hanover Street. I was leaving a restaurant, Saraceno's, where the owners have been incredibly hospitable to me and my legal team. Throughout trial, we'd pop in there all the time. And some woman, very haggard, older woman, came up to me and asked me right outside the restaurant. We had just left, and she came up to me on the steps of Saraceno's and said, "How can you smile? You Karen Reed, how can you smile?" And before I could even, I'd not had an interaction like this at all. This was in November of 2024, between the two trials. I had not had an encounter like this. And the owners of Saraceno's, they also own like a coffee shop right next door. So they take up some real estate on that sidewalk. Several of them came out and all but chased her down the street with pitchforks. Shut up, you're ignorant. And she was she didn't seem to be of all her. Yeah, she didn't seem to be of all her wits. That is the only time that has happened.
Yeah, and I have the same experiences, man. When I go out, it's all fucking positive. Ask my ex-girlfriend every time we would go out anywhere. Selfies all fucking time. Any restaurant, wherever we went. Often paid for. You know, did we ever get confronted by anyone negative? Yeah, his name's Tristan Morris. That's about it. I think that's the only negative interaction that we've had. And besides McAlbert's, no. Unless you're like a McAlbert person, nobody came up to us. Nobody said anything negative ever. If they recognized me and they didn't like me, they kept their fucking mouth shut. They didn't say a goddamn word to me. They knew better.
We've spent most of our time in the Seaport. We've just in our downtime. Nearly every Friday, I can't think of a Friday that eventually we didn't make our way to a restaurant. You had to decompress, no matter how exhausted, which we all were every Friday. You had to blow off some steam. Just be somewhere loud and talk to people. And the support at so many establishments anywhere in Newbury Street, and we were in the North End a lot. I have not paid for a full drinks, appetizer, dinner, dessert tab in 2 years. People, and it's all helped. It's all helped get us there. And especially for my lawyers and my family, they're not me. I know what support I have. Everywhere I go, I'm supported. They need to know it too, because when they go home between the trials, they're back to their, I don't want to say obscurity, but just back to their normal lives. But I can't thank the people in Boston proper, young couples, families, business proprietors, the people at the hotel, 2 hotels we've stayed at a lot, just makes us feel so strong. And for me, makes me feel confident that if my jury is anything representative of the people I'm encountering every day, I will be okay.
That is the exact same way I feel. That like the Wilbur show is what did it for me. After the Wilbur show, I'm like, you're never going to convict me, Robert Cosgrove. Which, by the way, that tweet they entered into evidence, and we got that tweet in discovery. Me saying, dear Robert Cosgrove, this is why you're never going to convict me. They entered that into evidence. That tweet, and it's true, and he knows it. See that right there? You'll never get 12. They're like, he's tainting the jury pool by being fucking awesome. By selling out the Wilbur, he's tainting the jury pool. Sorry, Kazi, why don't you go fucking sell it to Wilbur? Oh, right, nobody likes you. Nobody wants to hear from you.
But the public that was very vocal at court and online on social media, and the public that just came up to me one moment on the street and I never saw them again, has helped invigorate and steel each one of us. Even if we may not have acted. I mean, there were times people came up for selfies, and we were having, there was a serious conversation Alan and I were having with Marty Weinberg at the end of this second trial. And I said, Alan, I really have no money left. The last asset I had was my house, and that paid the bulk of trial 2 plus donations. But now I need to put wheels in motion for an appeal. My parents are getting older. My closest.
But you see that, like, this is where the defense comes. This is why we did our part. You know what I mean? This is where the movement came in. Like, to pay for the second trial, especially. She had to sell her house. That's how broke she was. And you guys, we all came together. This movement came together, and it was just a fucking well-oiled machine that raised over $1.1 million, dude. That's fucking insane. Insane.
Friend who's incredibly intelligent, is also incredibly busy professionally. This was like a week before the closing argument, and Alan and I were in a restaurant. It was quiet, and we were talking to Marty Weinberg on speaker. And it's funny, I ended up seeing a photo. There was a woman at the bar of this restaurant that I could tell was taking our photo. She was weird. I didn't actually see her take a photo, but she was very interested in us. I ended up seeing the photo of Alan and me on Twitter with some salacious headline. And I thought, I showed it to Alan. I said, if they only knew what we were actually, if she had just walked over and spied on us, the headline would have been even better than what the contrived headline was, which is Karen Reed and Alan Jackson overheard on speaker with Marty Weinberg.
I mean, you'd have to ask them, but people have fallouts. It is what it is.
Discussing a potential conviction, and Marty, Marty, we don't talk about a lot because he's just come in as a pinch hitter, but it's been in such major ways. And the appeal, which was somewhat thankless because we didn't have any success with it after the first acquittal, the mistrial. But I'll never forget that conversation with him. It was, I think, a Sunday afternoon, and I'm in a steakhouse with Alan talking to him. And Marty says, you're not going to need it, Karen. You're not going to need it, but this is who I recommend. This is the kind of retainer he's going to need. You need to do this. You need to do this. And it was a tough day. We walked back to the hotel, and I felt I was probably like a little weepy. I don't remember how I got on that topic, but
I think someone was like asking for a selfie.
Oh yeah. Someone. So on the way home from that call with Marty, a daughter and mother had asked for selfies, and I just I couldn't. The selfie question is very difficult. A lot of times I'm eating, or I'm having a private conversation. I don't like how I look, like any normal 45-year-old woman. Care how I've been crying or I've been upset, and then if you say no, then people think I'm a bitch. Like, I'm supporting you. You're on trial for murdering a cop. You should be so lucky that I'm trying to support you. But then if I do take the photo, it's on social media and I look like I'm enjoying my life. I'm smiling and I look celebratory. I cannot win that game. I've turned people down for selfies, and then they just walk a half a block back and take it. or they'll.
Yeah, I've not to brag, but I've never turned down a selfie. But I'm also, like I said, I'm not on trial for murder. You know, I'm more of a happy-go-lucky celebrity folk. You know, quasi. I don't know what I call myself, but you know, people like me. People are well known, and I'm happy. Whatever. I'm not on trial for murder. I am on trial for witness intimidation, but I like taking selfies. I think it's fun. Like, I just can't say no. Why would I, you know what I mean? But I get why I don't judge her at all for that. You know,
They'll ask, well, can I have her if I'm with Liza? Can I just take her selfie? There's definitely I'm smart enough about Gen Z, millennials, and my Gen X that I cannot interpret every selfie as staunch support for my innocence.
Yeah.
There are people that ask for selfies that maybe don't even believe I'm innocent or don't know anything about the case, but know that I've had people come up to me in the seaport and say, are you famous? Because they just saw it, and then ask for a selfie and they don't even know who I am. They're going to post it and then and then start collecting the likes. Yeah, it's always been a guy too, like a Gen Z guy. Who are you? Like,
who are you?
I'm like, you don't need to worry. If you don't know, then you don't need to worry about it.
They're like, are you on TV?
Yeah, that's weird.
Have you been on the Karen Read Reddit pages?
One good thing about having such a high profile case that's played out publicly is if we're working on trial or working on a witness and it's, well, when did Buchnick testify that the video was a true and accurate representation of the Sally Port? I can just Google it. I don't even, it's like, all right, what's quicker? Do I go into my files with my library lookup system, or do I just Google it and it says day 27, Buchnick testifies June 10th or whatever the date was. So I have not purposefully gone on Reddit to look myself up, but I have done searches looking for details that have led me to Reddit. And I've always been very pleased. I may not be seeing the right things, but I've always been pleased at the discussions I've seen on Reddit. They seem, they're intelligible and they're intelligent. They're not as emotionally, it seems anyway, that they're not as emotionally charged as social media pages where there are people with targeted goals. Like there'll be, I'm not.
See, she's liked on Reddit. I am not liked on Reddit. If you go on any Reddit thread and just search Turtle Boy, it's been this way for years. Reddit fucking hates me. And I don't know. I prefer the conversation on Facebook because people use their real names more on Facebook. Twitter, it just gets really ugly at times, so just a lot of nastiness. But Reddit's just too anonymous. There's too much anonymity on Reddit, and when people are anonymous, you know, they're more apt to say something that it's a double-edged sword. They're more apt to say how they really feel because they're anonymous, but they're also more apt to say how they don't feel because they're anonymous. So I'm just not a big Redditor
on Twitter anymore, but I have popped on and off Twitter because there are some people that have actually done very good digging. That's been helpful to me.
Yeah,
but I'll read
Olivia Lamb.
that, Karen Read looks like a leather handbag, and she looks like a man with a wig. Or I've read very physically demeaning things. I'm like, clearly, you are over emotional for some unconnected third party. Yeah. You can say, I don't like the look on her face. She looks guilty, or I don't like the sound of her voice. She sounds arrogant. But when it gets very personal, I think, all right, which member of which family? This is too visceral. You must be part of the shrapnel in this whole mess that you're saying. I don't know. No, it's not exactly those comments, but they're trying to hurt me, but they're so personal that it's so obvious. Yeah. It's one of these, or it's one of those guys.
I know that you legally cannot say a lot of things. There are a lot of theories online about Canton's residence. A girl must try. So I'm just going to run them through you. There is an online conspiracy that Brian Albert and his sister-in-law, Jen McCabe, Jen are having an affair. Do you know anything about that?
I do not know anything about that. I had read things like that very early on. John,
this is one of the things that was communicated to me on April 17th, that there's rumored to be swingers, and I chose not to run with that because I don't know. I just didn't want to muddy it up. That would be something people take from it. Like that would be sex sells, and like, oh shit, swingers are doing this, and I just thought that would muddy the whole story. And there's absolutely no evidence of that. I don't know. I'm sure that Brian Albert has fucked a lot of bitches while he's been married to Nicole. I would bet money on that. You know, Brian Albert thinks is real impressed with himself. But I don't know, banging your wife's sister. I don't know.
O'Keefe had told me when we first started dating in 2020. So we started dating very early in the pandemic. We had dated when we were in our early 20s, but we reconnected. He reached out to me during the pandemic. I think just because everyone was stranded at home and resorting to social networking. And he had told me, like our second date, that there is this according to John, that there was at that time a swinger scene in Canton, which I had read in Boston Magazine that there was one in a different Boston suburb. I'd never read specifically about Canton, but John insisted there was. And I think he can't be the only person, and I can't be the second person that's heard that rumor, fueled by these are people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s in some cases, hanging out all the time, drinking very late, drinking with family. So I don't know if there's truth to it, but I could.
Yeah, I wouldn't ask that question because it's just like, No. Again, you have a limited amount of time with Karen Reed. I'm not interested in whether or not these people are swingers. I don't care. It doesn't affect anything in the case.
See how rumors like that start. I had heard it from John, not about anyone in particular, but about couples in Canton.
House long to die in cold.
And also, like, who cares if they are? You know?
What's the weirdest thing you've ever Googled?
What's the weirdest thing I've ever Googled?
Yeah. See, I don't like. This is like silly. I don't like this part. Again, not. Oh, she's got more subscribers than you. Great, awesome. I don't like this question. I think it's silly. But again, she's clearly catering to a younger audience.
At like 2 a.m.
Oh God. I'm sure I've Googled something weird. I haven't Googled anything incriminating.
Yeah.
I'm sure it had something to do with like matching wires on a chandelier at my house or something like to do with fixing something like what is this bolt that's sticking out of my lawnmower or something. But I don't know. I don't think I've Googled something like.
You know why I don't like that question? Because the answer's not interesting. It's just like, okay. Why do we care what the weirdest thing Karen Reed Googled is? I don't know. Again, people are going to be, you're jealous because she got this interview and you didn't. Nope. I don't like that question. She's doing good in other things. I don't like that. I think some of these questions are silly and like are catering to a much younger audience. And it's like silly with the music and stuff like that. And it's just like you know why it's not a good question? Because the answer is not good. Like, okay, I Googled something about my lawnmower. It's like, awesome. And like, because you also don't go into it and you're like, well, I don't know. I hadn't. Again, this is from the guy who did the whore tour, and everybody asked weird questions. Not everybody. Like some people asked great questions, but some of those interviews were like, "What?" And like DJ from Calling All Beings was like he asked. That was probably the most uncomfortable one. He was like, "So, like, what would happen? What do you think would happen if John O'Keefe went inside that house?" And he got beat up and then he lived to tell about it. Do you think Michael Morrissey would prosecute it? It's like, probably not because he's alive and it would just be like a fight. And it's like, you got me on here and you're like, oh, I'm going to sit down with Turtle Boy for 30 minutes and ask him anything. And you ask me that, I don't know. It's like you get Karen Reed, you get the Karen Reed interview. I'm going to have some good questions. I'm going to have some questions that people want to know the answers to. And I'm not sure people want to know the answer to that. It's just silly.
Yeah.
Perverted person anyway. But.
There is an online rumor that Jen McCabe has voodoo dolls, plural, of you. Do you believe it?
No, here we go. There are rumors. Let me see this again.
I don't believe that thing like.
Yeah.
Perverted person anyway.
Now this I'm interested in.
There is an online rumor that Jen McCabe has voodoo dolls, plural.
There is an online rumor. Lindsay Gattani has entered the chat, folks. She is the one that put that out there. She's the one making this allegation that she saw voodoo dolls of me and Karen Reed in her house. And again, I definitely think there was a directive not to say my name because that is the rumors that there's a voodoo doll of me as well. This isn't just an online rumor. It was put in a court filing. That's what made it even bigger. And so listen to what Karen Reed says about that.
Of you. Do you believe it?
I don't believe that.
You don't?
I don't believe that.
I don't.
That's good. Okay. Because that would be creepy. I don't know how I would feel if someone had voodoo dolls of me.
I believe it. I mean, I understand that in the past of not everything said by this individual has been the truth. But at the same time, I just don't, that's real fucking specific. Why? That's just a real specific thing that she's been real insistent on, that she saw them. And what's that bizarre about? Like, is that not believable? Like, I believe that,
It's not working.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
My husband saw a post on Chinese social media. A former student of yours wrote, and this is translated, so I'm going to read it. Okay. Karen Reed was my university professor. Back when I was applying for graduate school, she was the one who wrote my recommendation letter. She is sharp-minded, always positive, and someone I often had long, inspiring talks with. She encouraged me a lot. She even told me how I should learn to protect myself in the future. The financial industry is not a stranger to male supervisors and female subordinates with quid pro quo situations.
By the way, just check out, I just put a poll question up. Do you believe that Jen McCabe has voodoo dolls of me and Karen in the house? Let's see the poll answer right now. Let's see where we're at with that. 87% say yes with 200 votes in already. Okay, so there we go. The public believes Gattani in this situation. And by the way, quick, while I pause there, quick little thank you, shout out, Cash App here from Michelle Cantoni. Sends $50 and says, "Don't read aloud." I saw it. I already saw it. So thank you. Thank you. If anyone else wants their, I don't know how I'm supposed to answer that if I can't say it out loud, but yeah, she was very adamant. It's like just the way she's like insisting on it is, and other shit she's got receipts for. You're gonna see.
Watched all the live stream news coverage of her trial. I tried to stay in touch, but I couldn't find her LinkedIn, so I decided to write this post to commemorate her. She will always have a special place in my heart.
Is her name Claire?
Can you check? Yeah. You remember?
There was a group of Chinese students I had around 2018 that I got very close with, and they would just hang around, and it stood out to me because it was winter semester, and I taught till about like 10 at night. So when a student stuck around, they'd walk me to my car. I did bond with that group, and one in particular named Claire, but it might not be because I think I am connected to her on LinkedIn. I'm sad I don't speak Chinese because I never saw that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The name I saw was Lulu Chen. Maybe that's her Chinese.
Oh, I do know who that is. I do know. Oh my God. I have not thought about her in a minute. Because of all that's happened. I do know exactly who that is. But yeah, Lulu Chen,
remember all your students.
I remember her.
Oh my God.
No, because if you write a letter and she's saying we had these conversations, I remember very petite and long hair, and she was very, very, very trendy. I remember Lulu.
She even said that one time she walked into the class and you complimented her on her shoes and bags.
Yeah, I was just going to remember her bags. I was just trying to.
She's saying you're the most fashionable teacher. And
that doesn't take much. That doesn't take much.
Wow.
Yeah, she was very fashionable, very earnest, and I know exactly who she is. So hi, Lulu. I hope you're doing well.
Do you miss teaching? Do you
I do. Yeah.
What did you mainly teach? Like, so finance, but like what?
I taught a few different courses, but mainly I taught an introduction to capital markets, like how the stock market works, how a company goes public, how to analyze.
Again, I just don't like it. You have a limited amount of time with Karen Reed, and you're like, tell us about, you know what I want to know about with Karen Reed? Tell me about the finance you taught at Bentley. That's what I'm interested in.
As a company's financial statements. We did a lot of real world examples. I taught through the financial crisis. I started teaching in 07 or 08. I started at Fidelity in 07, and I started teaching in 08. I felt at Fidelity I was very, very much junior. Thank
you so much, Linda, for the 5 gifted memberships. We love you so much.
A very small fish and just the best pond to be in, but it was difficult on my self-esteem. It was a lot of strong personalities, incredibly intelligent, the biggest investors, literally the biggest investors. It was a great place. I would never have left on my own accord if I didn't have to, but I felt just for my self-esteem, I wanted to do more. I felt like teaching kept me sharp in a different way. Work, I was always, my full-time job, I was always learning, but teaching, you have to be prepared every class that there is a student smarter than you or many students smarter than you, at least on some topic, that there is something he or she has a personal interest in, broad or narrow, and they are going to know more than you. And you have to know, how deep can I prepare? How much can I help enhance the subject matter? And when do you say, I am not familiar with that. I'm not familiar with that company, or I'm not familiar with that investment product. You cannot fake it. And this is, Bentley is not the Ivy League, but I had incredibly intelligent Ivy League worthy students every semester that I did learn things from, but you've got to know your boundaries. But you also want to push them that if there is interest from students in a topic that I'm not overly comfortable in, how much can I learn so that we can extend this topic? But I loved it. I love the students. I love being back on campus. I've always been connected to Bentley. My dad's worked there my entire life. I went to basketball camps there in high school. I went to undergrad, I went to grad there, and I miss it. But I haven't chosen this, but this was the bigger purpose for me. I don't have children. I don't see that happening at this point, but my legacy is going to be my impact on Massachusetts and possibly broader criminal justice. And what I did at Bentley and what I did at Fidelity can be easily, maybe Bentley not so easily, because teachers, you have freedom and subjectivity to turn a class into whatever you want to turn it into. But this is, like it or not, this is what I'm here for. And this is what my parents and my friends and my lawyers.
Yeah, so look. So again, the chat disagrees with me. That's fine. We can all disagree. You guys want to know what she's like as a person? Not the case. That's fine. That's great. You know, we all go into an interview looking for different things. So that's great. Yeah, she's a person. I mean, this interview definitely humanized her. It's good because there's no cuts. There's a couple edits where it's like it jumps and stuff like that, but like in every other interview she's done, they can just put random sentences in there. The long form format is much better for her. This is much better.
This is why they went to law school. We're going to change. We've already changed things. Even if I was convicted, the change has happened. People, even if that jury came back and convicted me, people who watched every day of that trial or 3 days of the trial know what they saw. They don't need a jury to confirm it for them. I've read comments online when I've indulged against my better instincts that I'm going to let it play out. It hasn't been, I'm not going to buy this conspiracy. It's all up to the jury. I've read many comments like that. Like it's usually from the other side, the baddies. Let it play out. This is for a jury to decide. Like, what a narrow-minded way to go through life, that I'm going to let a jury tell me. I mean, it's one thing if you don't watch it, then I guess the jury is the next best thing. What is their opinion? Juries tend to be reasonable, but read the filings, watch the witnesses.
Right.
You're going to let.
I'm totally with her on that one. That's interesting, because it's like all the people that are like, I'm going to wait till trial to reserve my opinion. What do you got to wait till trial for? Read all the pretrial stuff. It's all out there. You already know what they have. You've already seen it all. What else do you need to know? There was no taillight there at 7 o'clock. It was there at 6 o'clock p.m. How'd that get there? What do you need to try? What do you need? Like nothing. I mean, some stuff, the Higgins messages, some stuff came out of trial. Like the stuff at trial just made her seem more innocent, but everything that was in the pretrial stuff made it very obvious that she was not guilty. Very obvious.
Someone else make up your mind for you. That's like having someone else tell you who should be president. Yeah. Well, I didn't vote for this president, but that's who the majority says, so that's who it should be. Those comments are, it's just a cop out. Yeah. It's a way to not address the elephant in the room.
Would you ever be a lawyer? Like, would you ever become one?
Never. I feel the system is too broken and I'm too old. I think if I were younger and I had more energy, and I hope our law clerks, who we were so blessed to have, which was a brainchild of Alan Jackson's before the first trial. Like I'm running out of money. I've got a house, and then I'm out, and then I just have to hope the charity of others gets me there. And he said, well, I've got an idea. Let's see if there's any law students. Got the best universities up here. Let's see if any third-year law students want to help. And we just got to rush. David went to BC Law. Alan went to Harvard, and we had a week of interviews. Zooms. David and I interviewed.
They know that.
Each law school sent out a wanted email.
Wow.
David and I did the BC interviews. Alan and Liza did the Harvard, and we probably did about 40. And that was all we could have taken more. Probably did 40 each. And we each picked our favorites. And then I think we kind of convened on the others. And my pick, so I interviewed the Harvard, the BC.
Evan Wolk.
My number one pick from the jump was Evan Wolk,
He's brilliant.
Who ended up working on the trial the most for us. They were all great. And then
Evan was like such a nice guy, and he was there. He was a hard worker. He was there every day. He was at every pretrial hearing. He seamlessly took over the job of Mr. Bates. Poor Mr. Bates just realized that, like, oh shit, this guy can do for free. Because obviously Craig's going to get paid to do that in the first trial. But, the second trial was economical because of all of these interns. They were, imagine having a team of Harvard and BC interns who were like hungry, and they were so professional. They were amazing. I loved the interns. The interns were great.
The end of trial, Evan had a contract to work at a big firm in the Seaport. And I said, I would love for you to go work with Alan, like, because he and Alan got on, and Liza, the three of them, like, there was a real, Alan and Liza have a great complementary dynamic, and Evan just fit right in. And I kind of engineered it. I would talk to Evan privately, and then I would talk to Alan, and now Evan's with Alan. Alan and Liza interviewed Harvard students.
Okay, thank you.
4 or 5. Among them was the editor of the Harvard Law Review. She's no longer, she's graduated, but Sophia Hunt. She was kind of our leader of the interns, like the conduit between the interns and Liza, who was managing the interns. But we could not have done what we did in the second trial with a whole new prosecution, new witnesses, trying to keep out the voir dires and the Daubert hearings, which we did not have the first trial. It took us 3 days to get Dr. Russell qualified to testify in trial 2. This is after she's already testified in trial 1. I had to fly her up here for 3 days of hearings. Same with ARCA. I can't remember if we had to voir dire or Daubert, Dr. LaPosada, but every witness that Brennan could challenge, every expert, he did. And we could never have handled that. We did not have the bandwidth without these law students. I mean, they would sleep at the hotel on couches in our rooms. They wear the same suits the next day. I mean, they were indefatigable and just a total lifesaver. They become like family to us. They helped save my life, and I didn't know them 1 minute, and hopefully, I know them forever now.
Did you guys have a group chat
We did. We called it the, I don't know if you heard the name for the ARCA witnesses.
Crash Daddy.
Crash Daddy?
Crash Daddies. Our group name for the third-year law students was Crash Graddies.
Crash Graddies. Crash Graddies.
Yeah. Because they all graduated, and one of our interns was getting married, graduating, and moving to Chicago to start her job, all within like 2 weeks. So they were all one. Sophie, who's is like a little, more like a daughter to me, I guess, but I treat her like a little sister. She hasn't graduated yet, but the other 8 have all graduated. So our group thread, I think it's me with the 8 of them, or the 9 of them was Crash Graddies.
That's so good. Speaking of, have you seen the clip where it appears that Auntie Bev, it appears from social opinion that she's checking out Crash Daddy? Have you seen?
I've seen that.
Later. Okay.
I've seen that. It's played in slow motion, which anything in slow motion, that's how you get Exhibit A, is pausing things at the wrong time.
Yeah.
She seems too self-conscious of a woman to have done that, knowing she was on camera. But what you're referring to, I have seen.
You're going to stay in Massachusetts forever.
No,
Like,
God, I hope I don't have to stay much longer in Massachusetts.
Where do you want to live?
Anywhere but Massachusetts.
49 other states.
Yeah, anywhere. I could be in the middle of the woods. I could be on a farm. I could be on the water. I don't care. I care who I'm with. I don't want to see another Massachusetts state trooper. I don't care if they're reformed or under a different colonel. I have taken too many shots at law enforcement to feel protected by law enforcement, although we have had many positive experiences.
Yeah.
I hope law enforcement that supports me, or at least believes me, in Massachusetts understands what has happened to me at the hands of law enforcement and why I feel the way I do. My grandfather, my mother's father, was a police officer. Obviously, John was a police officer. I am not anti-law enforcement, but I have had many, many members of law enforcement abuse my rights and lie. And that's as far as I'll go. And I can prove that they have lied. I hope the good law enforcement knows why I feel the way I do, but I don't feel safe in Massachusetts. I don't feel that the politics are safe. It's not that those problems don't exist everywhere else, but I don't want to be a lawyer. I don't want to.
That's cool how she said. She's like, look, I have nothing against cops in general, but I just don't feel safe. And how could you? How could you? When, like, what are they going to do to me next? Wouldn't you want a fresh start? I mean, she's got no kids or anything like that. Like, why not? If you were her.
Any more of the law. I will try to make change in other ways, but the legal system is still so broken. I look at my lawyers and I just think, why
kids weigh you down?
You're just such an underdog.
Mm-hmm.
You're battling the resources of the state, sometimes with a defendant that can't even make bail. And then how do you hire the crash daddies and La Posada and Dr. Russell? And the government can go with a blank check to Aperture and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and pay a special prosecutor hundreds of thousands.
It's like it would be nice. It's like, she had this because of the movement. That's what was able to, that's what got her this. Like, if she didn't have the movement behind her, how is she going to afford the crash daddies? How, you know what I mean? How are you going to put these people up in hotels? Like, it was a huge part of the movement, and it was, she's a huge underdog, but that's where the movement came in and picked her up.
Thousands of dollars.
You want to make change, but not get into law. Where do you see yourself, like, in 5 years? Where would you hope your life to be?
I hope within 5 years we've written the book, which I think will take longer. I'm not even, I can get there if I have to, but I'm not even in the headspace to start regurgitating and reliving all this. I would, and I need the money. So I'll do it when I have to start doing it. But I think the easiest thing I can do is just keep telling the story. There's so many facets to this that the public doesn't know just because there hasn't been, I mean, this is my first real interview. There's so much of what is entailed in this fight that you know more about this case than average, partly because it's played out twice and it's about to be played out in a different form a third time. But what it takes to mount a defense.
Actually, a fourth time, Karen. And it's because it's like, this is about to be played out in my trial. All of this is going to be laid out. Again, I'm being charged with witness intimidation against these same people in her case. We're going to have to explain why I did what I did, right? They're going to have to be cross-examined. I don't know if people understand this. Jennifer McCabe, we get a crack at them too. We get discovery that she doesn't have. I've told her this. I have all of Jennifer McCabe's text messages. That some shit she didn't have. She did not have the Sandra Bullock text. We got a lot more like that. Again, that should not even be out right now. Unfortunately, it has been shared and published by a former ex-girlfriend who, acted as my de facto secretary and is getting revenge by doing that. So you shouldn't even know about this stuff. But it's getting out there, and it's just crazy the shit that was held from her. You know, she doesn't have any of this shit.
To even stay somewhat competitive to the prosecution, I think the details, the financial costs, the sweat equity, what these lawyers have to sacrifice, it's amazing anyone's acquitted. It really amazes me. And my case was easy to prove. My case was logical. If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. And we still were met with just such a fight from the government that I've paid taxes to. And they threw everything at me that they could and didn't come close. I think the public needs to know, they need to be more careful. They need to know their rights. They need to know not ever to speak to law enforcement. Unfortunately, we can't cooperate the way we would think we need to, because if God forbid this goes south, it will be used against you in a court of law. It will be manipulated against you in a court of law. It will be taken out of context against you in a court of law. You know, we're trying to put together this YouTube channel, Alan and I, and I read a couple comments like, I'm done hearing from Karen. What does she have to it? I can tell you what it's like to be a defendant, and I can tell you what it takes to beat the system. It's a lot more than what you think. I've lived now.
You know, my question about that channel is like, how is this going to work? Is it a weekly show? Is she going to appear every episode? Is it like the Nick Rocco show? I have questions. I think people are like, I'm interested in this. Of course I'm going to subscribe to it. Are you out of your mind? I can't get enough of this shit. People like think that just because I'm not getting the interview or I'm not doing that, I have no interest in it. I don't care. I didn't have the interview the whole time I was fucking covering the story, did I? You know what I mean? I have a great interest in this topic. That's why I've covered it from day one. And I'm going to continue to.
6 months, 3 continuous at a time with my defense team, with ancillary members of the defense team, with law students. We had a documentary crew with us at one point. It's emotional and trying and exhausting. And there's a lot of choreography and personnel management, I'll call it, to walk into court looking how we looked every day and to be cohesive. And I had 3 men in their 60s from 3 different firms, very seasoned in their careers, all having spent time as prosecutors. And then Liza made partner along the way, also experienced with her own opinions. We don't just show up and put Kelly Deaver on the stand. Everyone has their own experience and therefore their own strategy and their own way of doing things. And they all fall on me to break the tie. It's very, very trying. It's why I feel this crash from trial, because it wasn't just sitting there and trying to keep my emotions in check, which sometimes I didn't do a very good job of. It was what was happening. Honestly, trial sitting there was oftentimes easier than having to go home. The worst nights, the worst moments of trial at times were Monday and Tuesday nights, where we just had a grueling day at court and some big witness is coming on Thursday, or worse, we think a big witness is coming Thursday, but Brennan hasn't finalized the batting order yet. So it could be the children are testifying on Thursday, or it could be Bubnik, or it could be Tully, one of the 4. I mean, that's how it goes. That's the dirty pool that's happening, is we are finding out sometimes within 1 day's notice who is going to testify. We were told that, no, I can't remember her name, the dog DNA expert from UCal Berkeley, she was on the witness list. We were told every Friday when the judge would call us up at sidebar and say, what are the plans? Who's coming up next? We were told every Friday, she's coming. She should be coming this week.
That's Terry Kuhn. I was told that Terry Kuhn refused to participate in this because she believes Karen Reed's innocent. She's the one that tested the John's clothing for DNA. And remember, Hank tried to enter that into evidence, and it was like, whoa, you're not allowed to mention that. You didn't bring your expert in.
We're trying to make travel arrangements. She should be coming. She never came. And we have our own opinions about why she didn't testify. But
yes, exactly. So do I. See, I think she's saying what I'm saying there. Terry Kuhn refused to participate. That's what I'm told. They can't make you do it if you live in another state. I'm told that she just no, I'm going to be a hostile witness if I go in there. Because even her demeanor in the first trial, she just came across as no, she made it very clear, they sent me the swab. I didn't do the swab itself. So whatever they sent me, I just tested, and there was no dog DNA, but there was pig DNA. She made sure to point that out. I think Terry Kuhn believes Karen Reed is innocent and wanted no part in this.
It wasn't as if we had this roadmap of trial and we had some time to plan. We, for example, did not know if we could call ARCA until trial had already started. So Judge Cannoni told Alan the morning of opening statements in trial 2 that she had not made up her mind about ARCA, and he was therefore disallowed from mentioning ARCA in his opening statements. So that meant Hank Brennan presented his case, and you're going to hear from Aperture, ladies and gentlemen, and 2 PhDs. Oh, well, that's right. Shannon Burgess lied about his degrees. Yeah. 1 PhD is going to tell you that car backed up at 24 miles an hour, 62 feet, and it spun him around like a top, and he fell and cracked his head open. Then we get up to give opening statements, and we've got the federally contracted ARCA PhDs who've done all this work, and we've had them now for a year. and we can't mention them. So if jurors were paying attention, they'd say, well, wait a minute. So the prosecution has a physical reconstructionist who's going to tell us that car damaged that body and that body damaged that car, but Reed doesn't have, why they can't prove it? So they go into trial thinking, I don't think Reed can physically prove that this didn't happen. This is
That's so true. It's so like that you can't mention ARCA in the opening. Like that's so why? There's so many things like that. Why can't you mention ARCA in the opening?
Handicapping us. So she said to Alan, the morning of opening, you have 10 minutes. I have not ruled on ARCA. And Alan said, Your Honor, it's in my opening statement. I can't not talk about, but they're arguably our two most important witnesses. And she said, you have 10 minutes to sit at the table and edit your opening. And she gave him exactly that. I've never seen Alan, and I've seen him in different states of pressure. This was unspeakable, what she was putting him through. And he is so choreographed and fastidious and meticulous, and everything flows. It's not a stream of consciousness. It's something he's worked and massaged. And he reiterates things as he goes through. He didn't just talk about ARCA once. He introduced them in the beginning. There was no collision. There was no collision.
There was no collision with John O'Keefe.
By the way, thank you real quick to a turtle chat here from Felicia Sosa sends $10 and says Stephanie Sue is 30 years old. She started her YouTube career many years ago as a mukbanger. What is a mukbanger? Which is when a YouTuber eats excessive amounts of food on camera. She only started her Rotten Mango channel about 3 years ago. She's very sweet, but she's definitely fairly new to the true crime genre. But she quickly recognized Karen Reed as innocent. Yeah, I mean, she clearly appeals to like a younger crowd. Like you just like everything about the presentation is geared towards a younger crowd. So thank you for that, Felicia. If anyone else wants their messages read, click at the link at the top for Turtle Chat or cash at me, $ Uncle Turtle Boy.
There was no collision. There was no collision. There was no collision. There was no collision. There was no collision.
And then he goes into detail throughout that all had to be excised and still flow. These are fights that we were made to endure that we shouldn't have. And it was something like this multiple times a day of this magnitude. So I think long answer to your question about the next 5 years. Even just for therapeutic reasons, I want people who care to know everything that happened.
You're still fighting. So you had the 2 trials, but now there's a civil fight. There's multiple civil fights. How much is that going to cost?
My biggest expense is logistics. The amount of work required is just so vast. I mean, it took 3 different firms, Yannetti, DLA Piper, where Bob was from, and Worksman Jackson, for 2 trials. We didn't even make it through the first time around. We had to do it again. And now I currently have 3 civil trials happening. I have the O'Keefe wrongful death suit in Plymouth County, Massachusetts. I have my suit against Canton PD and Massachusetts State Police in Bristol County, Massachusetts, both state. And now I have the federal with the Alberts, McCabe's, Higgins, Proctor, Tully, and Buchnick. So that's 3. Alan is still one of my attorneys. I am not currently compensating Alan, but I do pay for all.
So I think that what we could take from that, she's not currently compensating Alan. I think that the current fundraiser, which how much is that up to now? That is up to $44,239. That I think we can safe to assume that and it's gained like $5,000 in the last couple of days since I shared it. Just saying that fundraiser is going right to Alan Jackson. I would assume. I mean, he's got to get paid. He's got to be compensated for this shit. That's how it works.
All the travel and logistics. I have paid modestly so far, she and Finney, but the amount of work they've done on a billable hour rate is already astronomical. I mean, they're doing something robust for my case as I sit here right now. They're amazing, and there's 3 of them, and they're all just like Alan.
But I don't think I heard from her like a clear explanation. Not that it's anyone's business, but I mean, I guess when you're asking for, are they billing her by the hour? Did anybody pick up on that? I don't have an answer to that question. I mean, I'm just curious. I hope not. If they are, it's going to be a lot more than what. Give me a lot more than $45,000 for that. You know, I don't know how you could afford this at all. There's no possible way they're billing by the hour. There has to be some sort of insurance or contingency. It has to be flat fee. I don't know. The amount of work that's going to be. This is like a years long effort. Mine will be over by the end of the year. Hers will still be going on. You know.
Firm. They're all complementary. They work together for a reason because they're good together. The worst is over. I am used to fighting now. If any party to this thinks this is inflicting pain on me, you don't understand what I've been through and what I've survived and what I can handle, and you don't understand what's going on and what what more is about to be revealed. I mean, we were hamstrung, in our opinion, badly at trial. There's more evidence and there's more of a story to tell.
Okay.
And it has to be done. We have to finish this. It's
Sounds
why Alan's still
juicy.
involved. It's why Damon, he was my parents' attorney
Love
throughout
him.
the last year, but it's why Damon wants to be a part of this civil suit as well. But we have a lot more to do. And luckily we know this case so well. So many of us know it so well.
Billing by the hour and charging the client by the hour are two totally different things. Like they keep track of, I've had other work, like when Rendaz has done work for me, like he'll do it on like a whatever you can raise basis. And then he sends me the bill at the end. Right. And the bill is like fucking always 6 figures. And it's like, that's what you would pay if whatever. So you just raise what you can, that's how a lot of these lawyers work. It's just like, get us what you can, like, but they still have to keep records of it. Yeah, exactly. It's just record keeping. That's all that is. Right. No lawyer ever expects to get paid all of the money they are owed by clients. Like no lawyer. Like Alan's bill was like $5 million to cover the first 2 trials. He's not expecting to get paid that, obviously. He always viewed, and I knew this from the beginning, he viewed this case as an investment. That this was an easy one for him. Not easy one, but like very rarely do you have a completely innocent person who is so sympathetic and is being railroaded by the state. And that it's just such a sexy story. He took this case on because Alan likes headlines. Alan is no stranger or, neophyte when it comes to like the cameras. Like he is built for this shit, in case you can't tell. He is built for to speak in front of a microphone and cameras. He's fucking good at it. I think that's why him and I get along so well, right? They're just natural. He's just a natural when it comes to this shit, a natural. And so, like this, I think he viewed this case as not only getting an innocent woman off of some bullshit charges, but also making a name for himself, right? And he has, like, he's gotten. I don't think he gets the Frazier bomb case without this one. I don't think he gets the Nick Reiner case without this one. He was already famous. He had Kevin Spacey. He had, he's got a lot of famous clients, but this guy, like, I don't think Tim Bradel gets the Kelsey Fitzsimmons case without me. I don't think that. I mean, that's a coincidence, People are getting, like, you get your name. It's an investment when these lawyers become involved in this. And he also views this as like, well, we're going to acquit her, and then I'm going to cash in, as he should.
It's just a matter of understanding civil law and how this all has to play out. And it's even more tedious than the criminal court.
Yeah. And I know you have a civil fund set up. I'm going to leave that in the description for people to support. I think it's interesting because there is kind of this narrative that, like, you got a book deal, you have all this money from the documentary, which we're finding out is not true. You sold your house. We do know that's true. You lost years of your life that you could have been working. You lost your careers. You used up your savings. You cashed out on your retirement. You sold your treadmill.
Oh, I did sell. Who said that?
It was in an interview.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that. I did sell my treadmill. I think I gave it to my neighbor. Did my neighbor take my treadmill?
Yeah.
I sold it to my neighbor. My neighbors were lovely. They're a young family and they had a baby in the middle of all this. It was funny because I would, not like a creep, but I would watch them out the window. My bedroom faced their house, and I would hear the little baby that was born. I want to say their baby was born in the winter of 2022. I would hear the baby outside and think, what a juxtaposition that I'm going through this in this house. And they're so lovely, my neighbors, my old neighbors, and they're starting this family. And when they bought the house, I don't even think they were married yet. And they're growing. The firstborn's getting bigger, and it didn't make me sad. It was like life is always starting fresh, and life it's not always happy. It won't always be happy for them, but it is. There's always another moment of happiness, even if there's tragedy in it. But yeah, I've not made anything, not a dime. I don't have a movie. I don't have a book. When I do, you'll know. And there are obstacles even to that.
I don't have a movie. I don't have a book. When you do, you'll know. We'll see. I can't get into the details of that, but yeah, there will certainly be at least 1 or 2 more movies coming about the Karen Read trial. Let's just put it that way.
A book. My understanding is if we are authors, we could be given some to write the book, almost as if we were taking a sabbatical to write this book. With a movie, what I'm learning is someone like me who would be selling her life rights for the movie, I wouldn't really be able to monetize that until the movie is actually in production, that my rights are actually, it's like a stock option. They're actually going to be, the rights will actually be exercised. So no, I love my parents. But I don't know that the three of us need to live together until the end of time. I'd love to live with them in a bigger house with where we can spread out. But no, obviously, if I were making millions or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, ask the people who live on Country Hill Drive in North Dighton. That's where I live, and I'm lucky I have them, and I feel safe, and I'm lucky I can enjoy my parents at this age, and we don't have this trial over our heads anymore. But no, I'd like to be doing things. I'd like to regain some more strength physically. I don't know that I like to travel right now, but I'd like to be somewhere with the people I love, and I haven't been able to because I don't have the resources. I have had some very generous people help me in small ways and not so small ways celebrate. I've had people open their homes to me and my family and really enjoy life for a few moments. People that owed me nothing, and I've gotten a lot of offers I haven't taken, but and I've got a lot of work to do. So wherever I go, I can't really just unplug. But I haven't made any money. I haven't made any. If you can find an example, if someone has a receipt, by all means, and I'll answer to it. They can send it to you, and I will answer to that.
Speaking of money in movies, you're not making any money from the Amazon Prime movie with Elizabeth Banks. Is it Amazon Prime?
Elizabeth Banks, I thought was Hulu.
Oh,
that
Hulu.
I have
Okay,
nothing to do with that.
Okay, and
I am not making any money. I will not be making any money from that.
The new Lifetime movie.
So I just heard about that yesterday. I refreshed my news feed and I saw the announcement from Lifetime, and it's funny.
So that means this must have been taped about what, a month ago? When did they first announce the Lifetime movie? Probably close to a month ago.
Actress, I actually saw a still. Apparently, this is done. They filmed this, and it's coming out in January. Is I think what I read. It's on their docket for January. And the actress Katie Cassidy, her father, David Cassidy, he was on a show in the 70s called The Partridge Family, and it was a band. Have you heard of The Partridge Family? It was like in the Brady Bunch era, like bell bottoms and kind of poppy, catchy music. And they were a band, and they also had a TV show. And he was like a teenage heartthrob, they used to call him. And he had a brother, I think a half brother, Sean Cassidy, who was also in a band in the late 70s. They were in a Broadway play where they played brothers separated at birth, and one went one side of the tracks and one went the other in London, and they reconnected unbeknownst to them and became best friends, and then found out they were actual brothers. And it was an amazing musical. It was in 1995 that I saw this play with my family, and David Cassidy was a star. And I was talking to my dad last night, and I said, who would have, I was 15 in 1995, who would have thought that we're in this little, it's called the Music Box, some kinship. I've seen her in a remake of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Lifetime.
if this is getting the story out, get it out. It's compelling. It's a moment in history. I don't blame these people for making these movies, but I will say I have gone through a lot of pain and lost a lot. And you're telling my story to make money, and you're not involving me. How much will people take on my coattails and not show any economical appreciation? So I wish these people luck in their endeavors, but I hope they know.
To be very clear, I offered to pay Karen Reed. I just want to put that out there.
What I've lost for them to tell this story.
I know that you guys are working on the YouTube show, but if we were to end it on a lighter note, if I were to summon you with a magical spell, you have to pick 5 things or objects that speak to you. What would you pick?
5 things or objects that speak to me. Well, one easy one would be
again with the questions. It's like, you got Karen Reed here. Again, disclaimer: she's bigger than me. She's more successful than me. All that stuff. I don't like what. Okay, again, I think it's meant to appeal to like a younger crowd.
Rosary beads. I'm religious. I don't pray as much as I should pray. I should be praying many times a day.
Hold on.
I do not. Objects
on the YouTube show. But if we were to end it on a lighter note, if I were to summon you with a magical spell, you have to pick 5 things or objects that speak to you. What would you pick?
I hate that question. It's like, that's how you end it. 5 things or objects that speak to you. She says rosary beads, which I don't like that. I mean, okay, I get it. I don't know if I buy that. I don't know if I buy. Again, she's religious. I get it. I don't know. I just don't know if I buy that. I don't know.
5 things or objects that speak to me. Well, one easy one would be rosary beads. I'm religious. I don't pray as much as I should pray. I should be praying many times a day, and I do not. But when I was in jail both times, I prayed the rosary without my rosary beads over and over. I actually used it to help myself keep time because I know it takes me 15 minutes. I have a friend who actually gave me rosary beads that were made with.
That's my thing. I don't even know what that question means. What was the question again? One more time.
Yellow rose. Well,
a lighter note, if I were to summon you with a magical spell, you have to pick 5 things or objects.
Again, it's the laughing. I don't know. It's just, if I were to summon you with a magical spell and you were to pick 5 things
that speak to you, what would you pick?
5 objects that speak to you, I would be like what do you mean? Speak to me. 5 objects? I wouldn't even know off the cuff. I don't like it. 5. Okay, let me think what I would say. Let's suppose I'm asked the same question. I want to hear that one more.
5 things are.
You guys are working on the YouTube show, but if we were to end it on a lighter note, if I were to summon you with a magical spell, you have to pick 5 things or objects that speak to you. What would you pick?
5 things or objects that speak to me. Number 1, my cell phone, because I can literally go on YouTube and it will speak to me. That'd be number 1 thing. So I'd pick my cell phone. That speaks to me. I use it all the time. It's got everything on it. It's got access to the whole world. So that would be one thing. Okay. What else speaks to me? Like, I don't know. This is like a DJ question. Like, what would you guys say? What are 5 things that speak to you? I don't even get it. It's meant to be lighthearted, but like, I don't get it. I also don't get what it means. Speaks to me? Yeah, what does the magical spell have to do with it? I don't get it. So there's a magical spell on me, and I need 5. Does anyone get the question? The fridges? Yeah, my fridge speaks to me. It's always saying I'm broken again. Come fix me. That's it. Too literal. I don't get it. Like, you're not spirit. I am religious, but I'm not like. I would never be like. I wouldn't say rosary because I just. Nudes. Yeah, nudes speak to me. What else? But that could be on my phone. What else speaks to me? Oh, the crime scene speaks to me. Imagine she said the crime scene, figuratively, not literally. Something that means something to you. Okay. I guess pictures like of my kids, right? Would be something. Again, something you relate to. Feel it connected. Again, you got one shot at Kara Reed, and this is what you're ending with. I don't like it. I don't like it. And it takes too much time for the answer, the person you're interviewing to like think of an answer. I want something like sentimental. What would you guys say? We're getting old TV. I just don't like. What am I supposed to be honest? I'm supposed to be. Am I supposed to be like this? Well, that was a great question. I don't get it. I don't like the question. And I'm sorry if that makes it be bad, but I don't like. Maybe pictures of my kids. Maybe something like that. Suppose you're in a jail cell and you have nothing else in the outside world. What are 5 things you would like to have with you in jail? And that's it. In a cell. Okay, there we go. My phone, number 1. Pictures of my children, right? That's definitely be on a couple pictures of my kids. I don't know. What would you guys pick? I don't even know. 5's a lot. It's not a good question because if you don't know the answer, voodoo dolls, I guess. Let her have her moment. I am, but that's not what I do here. I don't let people have moments. I share my honest opinions about things. Okay. And I just, real life boobs. I wouldn't put boobs. Money. But what am I going to do with money in a jail cell? Lip gloss. That's practical. Not for me, but it's supposed to be. I don't even know the answer. Porn. Maybe some porn. I guess nudes covers that. What don't you get? Why don't you fucking tell me, Tiggy girl? You tell me what that means. I want to hear your 5 answers, Tiggy girl. Give me your 5 answers right now. What are the 5 things that speak to you, Miss? I get everything, and you don't fucking get it. Let's hear it. We're not going anywhere until Tiggy girl answers my question. Right? Give me your 5 things. Go. I want to see it. Music, but you can't touch music. Comfy hoodie. See, that's a good one. Not literal speaking to you, right? I don't get it. Where's Tiggy girl? I want to hear her answers. She's so fucking smart. God damn it. He's being honest. Exactly. Like I pretend to be. I don't get it. I don't get the question. Where's Tiggy girl? Where'd she go? She had so much to say earlier. I mean, if we're keeping it real, a lot of you people are going to say that, right? If you're keeping it real. Just saying. A Bible. But like, I'm not going to be one of those people like pretends to be like, oh yeah, real spiritual in there. Maybe a book, a good book, right? Like, To Kill a Mockingbird, something like that. Some of the books that I read in jail. I read one book of jail about the Holocaust, The World's Happiest Man. I wrote how that book affected me and how much I liked it when I was in jail. Okay, here we go. Pets, good food, bed, YouTube, and parents. Okay. You didn't understand. No, I don't. Maybe you can explain it to me because it's maybe a letter. How about a letter? That's a good one. A letter my mom wrote to me before she passed away. That's a good answer. All right, let's see Karen's answers. Let's see it.
5 things are objects that speak to me. Well, one easy one would be rosary beads. I'm religious. I don't pray as much as I should pray. I should be praying many times a day, and I do not. But when I was in jail both times, I prayed the rosary without my rosary beads over and over. I actually used it to help myself keep time because I know it takes me 15 minutes. I have a friend who actually gave me rosary beads that were made with yellow roses that were on John's casket because I was not at John's funeral, but she grabbed a handful of petals and made me rosary beads. So those are very precious to me. I had someone, this is something that was just recently, it's not in my possession, but it means something to me and I'd like to get my own copy. Alan had a renowned courtroom artist in Los Angeles. I believe she's retired now. She just goes by the first name Mona. She did a courtroom sketch, which is fascinating. It's like, looks like a mix of watercolor and like pencil. And it's Alan in great detail. It's very small. It's Alan. My parents are behind him. Jen McCabe, Brian Albert, and Colin Albert. It's during closing argument are in the O'Keefe's gallery. And I'm turning around looking at Alan and it was amazing. I asked Alan if we can please commission her to do one that I can keep. I've gotten like so many photos. There's a photo that someone took in the courtroom. There's 2.
See, that's a good question. What would you do differently? I like that one. You know what I would ask her? What would you do differently on the morning of January 29th, 2022? What would you do? If you could go back in time, knowing what you know now, what would you do? That's an interesting question. Or one thing I would ask her is like, real question is like, why'd you leave One Meadows Ave? What was your thought process? I mean, she's kind of answered that already with Peg, but another one is like, why didn't you go when John didn't answer the phone? Why didn't you just go knock on the door? That's a question I've asked Karen Reed. And I got an interesting answer from it. That made sense. But I've never heard her talk about that publicly, why she didn't go back to the house and knock on the door. You know what I mean? So Tiggy answered, I missed it. I got to find Tiggy's answer. She did answer? The chat goes too fast. If she came up with 5 good answers, I'll give her credit. Okay? I'll give her credit.
It's not really the photo, but it's that moment that I would never remember with the clarity without the photo. But there's several of me kissing my dad that they're just perfect. And then there's one hugging my parents. I know a gentleman named Greg Durr, DERR, is a photographer. I think he's just part of the Associated Press, or he works for the Boston Globe. But he's really commemorated some amazing moments. But there's one where I'm hugging my parents after the verdict, and my hair is kind of pulled tight, and I've got my fists are like this, and I'm hugging, and I just know exactly. I know exactly how I felt. There's a couple photos of my dad that I kissed him every day, and my mom, so I don't remember specific that moment, but hugging them after the verdict, I remember. Other than that, there aren't many objects that mean much to me. I've learned to become more transient, less sentimental.
That's a good one.
Through this process, because I mean, I had a house that was big for me that I filled with things that I collected in art, and luckily I gave a lot of it to a cousin of mine who I know is going to look after it, and I actually hope he keeps it all because I love him. But I'm not too attached really to anything physically anymore. When your freedom is on the line, none of this material stuff, you could lose it all, and it all has a monetary value. My treadmill had granted it was not used very much, but none of it means anything. So I don't have too many objects. There's photos. I don't even know if those count, but
that's an interesting point. This is kind of a question that you ask a woman and not a man, you know, maybe as a man, I just don't get it. You know what I mean? Whereas like, that's a good point. I didn't think of that.
I don't have too many physical objects that mean all that much to me.
No, but those are like the best ones, the ones you just said. I really hope, don't listen to those people. I really hope that we hear a lot more from you talking about your own case yourself. We're going to look forward to the YouTube show. I think it's going to hopefully come out around the time this comes out, hopefully.
We are going to be having a YouTube channel launch, hopefully in January 2026, The Reed Files.
The Reed Files.
The Reed Files. And that'll be Alan Jackson, Nick Rocco is going to host, and I'll be there. I'm the Reed.
Okay. You're there. And that's a wrap! Woo!
Did they have some type of disclaimer there at the end?
And I'll be there on the read.
Hold on.
Okay. And that's a wrap.
How do you get rid of these? Can you get? Okay, awesome. You can follow her. So there was no disclaimer about like no one else was charged or anything like that, anything gay. Okay, cool. Yeah. You're a woman, you don't get. Okay, good. All right, so I'm not the only one. All right. She's trauma bonded to Alan Jackson for sure, but also like Alan Jackson is so good at it. You know what I mean? He's so good at it. Like she needs him. Like, he's fucking amazing at what he does. She's not, I don't think she's trauma bonded to him now. I was trauma bonded to Meredith, right? But at the end of the day, I can survive without her, you know? Whereas like Karen without Alan Jackson would be a real fucking loss. That's just not a trauma bond. That's like a I'm fucked kind of bond, you know? I mean, she'd be okay. Just wouldn't be the same. He's the best, you know? He's the best. Okay. All right. All right. Let me read. Do we have any cash apps here? Anything to read? Any turtle chats? Let's see. All right. We got a couple here to bring out. We got Binging Crimes, Not Cookies. Sends $10, goes, apologies if you've been asked to do this already, but I'm trying to earn extra credit for class. Can you please hold your hand up to the camera so we can see your nails? What is with this? This happened a couple times. Is this for Jimmy's thing? I have no nails. I'm a biter. I bite my nails all the fucking time. Like none. I never have nails. So there you go. Thank you. Is the Kelly Ripa interview out yet? I'm not sure. I'd like to see it if it is. Next. Nina sends $10, goes, hi, Turtle Boy. Stephanie is extremely thorough, ethical, and sensitive to those who were wronged. She will never make someone she is interviewing feel uncomfortable by asking questions she knows they can't answer. Interesting. She released a disclaimer about these questions and stated that she asked what she could give given the ongoing civil trial and will do another interview after it's over to ask more questions. Well, thank you, Nina. That answers a lot of my questions. That makes perfect sense because there was obviously no hardballs there whatsoever, like none. And it was like a get to know you. I mean, that was a good choice for Karen Read. That was a good format for her because that interview humanized her in a way that no other interview has. No other interview has humanized her. And so that's how she wants to get it out. This is her story. She's the one that went through this. She should do that. Again, she doesn't owe me shit. I've said this from day one. You will never, ever, ever find any sort of message or post or anything of me ever saying Karen Read owes me an interview. I have never said those words. I never will say those words. Okay. Other people have said those words to me, including one individual where I have dozens of text messages where she insists that Karen Read owes you. And I actually say back, I don't really agree. Whatever. It's fine if she doesn't. Okay. You'll never, ever see that from me ever. I have never once said that Karen Read owes me an interview, that I expect an interview. She told me, she offered it out of the blue when we first started doing this, that you'll get the first whatever afterwards. Okay. Thanks. Never asked for that, but okay. Sounds good. So the expectation was there. And that would be very cool. And I would appreciate that. You know, that's good looks. But that's not why I'm doing this. I'm not doing this for the first interview. I'm doing this because it's the right thing to do. And it's a great fucking story. And I'm a professional, you know, and so that's why I'm writing about the story. I'm not doing this to get first dibs on Karen Read. I'm not. And yeah, certainly after the trial, when I do wish there was communication about it. Like I messaged David Yannetti about it and I'm like, David, you want to come on my show? And he was like, talk to Jeff, who's the producer for the documentary. And so he had talked to him and through Jeff told me why David couldn't do it. And I'm like, just weird. And I messaged Victoria George and she's like, I can't, you know, and it was the same thing. You know, we've been told not to. And then Sophia Hunt, I even tried her. She didn't get back to me. And I'm like, what is going on here? What is going on here? And so to me, it was just like, you know, thing I said in like the first week. It took me like a week afterwards and then when David and Bob started doing their kind of like their whore tour, and I'm just like, what's going on here? You know, like that's the way I felt about it. Like, what did I do something? Did I offend someone? Like I was just confused. Like, what's going on here? And like other people started to pick up on that. And somebody wrote an email to Alan Jackson saying like, this is like a bad look, they said. And that is, Alan reached out to me after that in like late June and was like, hey, I want to come on your show. I want to come on your show first. And he was so complimentary about why he was doing it and this and that. So that's all. Like I wasn't expecting anything, but I was confused. Right. And I was like, I felt left out. Like I'm a human being. I felt left out. And I'm like, and it's just weird. I'm like, you know, I like Runkle. He's cool. But like Duty Ron, what, like that guy got Runkle. That guy got Yannetti and Alessi. And I can't even get a text back. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, I just wanted to know if they had just told me like, hey, here's the deal. This is why we can't do it right now. We appreciate it, but like, we're going to ask why. And, you know, I mean, AJ, did I ask why he was coming on or why he didn't? Because AJ did come on. And he's like, he explained to me why. He's like, because you're did this all. And we owe that to you. That's what he said. This is the least I can do, he said. And I'm like, oh, cool. But I was just confused, like, but I just didn't get like why everybody, like what? I was under the impression that you were, whatever. I took it and I'm like, okay, cool. That's all. So anything I said afterwards, after the trial, was from a place of like confusion. Like, I don't get it. You know what I mean? And like, after I got out of jail, it was the same way. I couldn't talk to Karen. And I just kind of wished that like, wasn't expecting anything from her, but I wish some sort of message had been sent. Like, hey, look at man, here's the deal. You know, appreciate the work, but we got a trial to prep for here. And they want to tie us to you. And, you know, we can't now, but after this is over, it's all good. Like something like that would have been like, okay, thank you. Thank you. That would have been like, thank you for clearing that up. I appreciate that. So anything I said came from a place like I never once expected anything. To be very clear, I never expected anything. It would have been nice, but I never expected it. Okay. And I did my own whore tour and I got on just fine without it, you know, and I'll always be fine. But, you know, I was just confused. And I think that they understood that, like, I got an army behind me who wants me to succeed and who knows about what I've done and who wants to see, like, you guys wanted this more for me than I did, you know? So that's all. So anything I said in the immediate aftermath of like not getting interviews in the first week or two after the trial came from a place of confusion and like, yeah, was it hurtful? Yes, of course it was. I'm like, what's going on here? You know, because that was always one of my fears that Meredith had sent to me in texts. Like she had always said to me, like, I'm worried that like when this is over, they're just gonna ditch you, that they're not gonna be grateful and all this stuff. And I'm like, no, that's not gonna happen. You know, like like she was the one saying this shit to me. It's all memorialized in texts. Because unlike her, I don't fucking go and share text messages and shit like that. You know, I don't feel the need to. When you move on, you fucking move on. You don't go back and you memorialize it and share screenshots. So it's like, but that's the truth of it all. That's the truth of it all was that like, I never, ever, ever once, and you will never find me anywhere saying like, I'm owed an interview because I'm not. I'm not owed shit. All right. Anybody else? But like, I got nothing but love for the Karen Read defense team. Nothing. All right. Anybody else? Oh, wait, no, we got one more here. Bob Brown sends $10 and says, Turtle Boy, do you know or have an opinion on who actually killed John O'Keefe? I heard she leans towards Brian Albert and away from Higgins. Thanks, Bob. Yeah, she has always leaned toward Brian Albert. and Colin. And that's why Higgins was not, she thinks Higgins was more involved in like orchestrating the cover up afterwards. I think it was the three of them. I've always said Colin, Brian, and Higgins. Those are the three, I think. Next. Naomi sends $10, goes, listen, Turtle, when your movie is being scripted, not the doc, the Turtle Boy character has to be the narrator. Nothing else will make sense from a storytelling point of view. If the narration isn't entirely filtered through the Turtle Boy lens, your movie is going to be chaotic as fuck and feels like the screenwriters couldn't decide the arc of the narrative. That's a good point. This isn't about ego, and don't let anyone else use that word when discussing why you, in your case, and your opinions matter. And Boston is very Team Turtle Boy. It's going to be a whole new audience of turtle writers who weren't able to get mass transport to the suburbs free Turtle Boy. It's a good point. But, you know, that's not really my decision to make. That's up to the producers. And again, the documentary will be used to kind of like build up hype for the movie. So thank you. All right, next. Ashley sends, how much? $10 here. Happy New Year. Aiden, I wish you peace, prosperity, and lots of serenity on this next trip around the sun. One thing that's always bothered me is the fact that not one single female officer attending the scene of either arrest. Am I wrong about this? I always wondered why the defense never addressed this angle. Best of luck next week. One single, yeah, that's a good point. That one single female officer? Why? Why would there be a female officer? I don't get that part. I don't think they would address it because it just doesn't seem, no offense, it just doesn't seem like relevant. I think the most important part about that is that there was like random guys showing up on the CERT team that O'Hara didn't know the names of. Like that to me is the much more important part. You know what I mean? That's what I would say. So, all right. Anyway, anybody else got anything? Let me refresh this. I don't want to miss anyone. My chick bad. My chick good. Anna sends $5 and goes, I wish I had a full-grown adult. I wish a full-grown adult had done the interview. Yeah, take what you can get, though. You know, it humanized her, you know. Is what it is. All right, cool. Anybody else got anything to say? Any KR TV movie moving forward has to have the 508 rapper pledge. Cheddar Crispy. I don't think JFK is going to make it in the movie. We didn't see him a lot of, you know, he wasn't really like at anything. So that's the problem. It's like, you got to like be there to be part of the story. You know what I mean? How will you celebrate if this gets dropped? Oof. Oof. I'm going to fix a whole bunch of fucking fridges. First of all, that's one way I will be fucking fixing fridges left and right. Maybe partying. I don't even know. I haven't thought about it much. Fucking party, whatever it is, fucking party. Like I will be on cloud 9 if that happens. But suppose we win the motion to recuse. It's not over yet. They still will get a certain amount of time to find a special prosecutor. And if they can't, then it's over. But one thing at a time. But it would still be a huge win. I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't have the greatest faith in anything. Like, nobody's got any balls around here to like do something so bold. And like, they always like to like leave it up to a jury. Like Auntie Bev should have dropped the charges against Karen Reed, but she didn't. And everybody knew she wasn't going to, you know? What does this say? You should have just shut up since you're assuming with no facts. I should have shut up. I didn't assume anything. I do think you were owed a lot. Okay. Well, I don't. Thank you for saying that. Every chance you get, you bring up what you did. Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I bring up what I did? And I only bring up what I did in like defensiveness when people want to say that like you didn't do shit or, you know, you didn't deserve this or you weren't a big part of this. It's like, why wouldn't I bring up what I did then to defend myself? That's all I'm doing. When I'm bringing up my contributions to this, it's in a defensive mode. It is being like when people are like, you didn't do shit, you weren't part of this. It's not au contraire. Au contraire. And I don't even have to, because guess what? Other people do that for me. Because people that can see the truth about this know the role that I played in this. So I don't even need to say anything. But I do. She wants me to be more humble, I think. I am. Well, humble I'm not. I will give you that. I'm not a very humble person. I'm just not. That's just my character. It's my personality. I am cocky. I am arrogant. I'm not a narcissist because that's like an actual diagnosed thing where you are, just incapable of any sort of self-introspection and admitting that you're wrong and apologizing. That's just factually untrue because I admit I'm wrong all the time. I apologize when I'm wrong. Anyone who's ever been in a situation with me like that has known that. Like you whatever. But am I arrogant? Yes. Am I cocky? Very. I'm very confident. You will hardly ever meet a more confident person than I am. When I go out and if it comes to women, it's like I have zero. I don't even think about rejection. It never even crosses my mind. I'm sorry, I'm being honest with you. I don't think about it. I am the most confident person you will ever meet. Okay. There are times when I'm down and I get slightly unconscious. I get back up though. I'm really good at getting back up. All right. But that doesn't mean I'm like completely like incapable of ever admitting I'm wrong or anything like that. I am. I want to be very clear about that. So yeah. So I'm not humble. I'll never be humble. Okay. Humble is not my thing. So, it is what it is. And that's my care. And that's why people follow me, How about this guy? Stop being a crybaby. You made out just fine. Okay. I did make out fine. You're right. I would like to and I'm not crying about anything. I would like to hear what you know about the anonymous caller. What's an anonymous caller about? Steve Scanlon? I already wrote a whole story about him. Let's see. I did go to jail. That's the other thing too. I went to freaking jail because I was looking to find out who murdered John O'Keefe and hold these people accountable. Like that's a pretty big, you got certain amount of leeway for that, don't you? Okay. Can we do an in-person live? Maybe. We'll see. She's a software. Yeah, exactly. It was fine. It was great. I enjoyed it. I would give that interview like a B+. It was really good. Oh, it's your birthday, the 23rd, Nikki. Nice to hear. Some hard decisions. Oof, very hard. In court in your favor. I hope so. That's the other thing. It's like start your own YouTube channel if you don't like it. You went to jail for this. Yeah, and that's one thing the chat disagree with me on, bringing up the fact her teaching experience. That's something people wanted to know about. I didn't have that much of an interest in it, but you, as the audience, did, and it's okay to agree to disagree on that, It's a beautiful thing. Democracy, the First Amendment. Sorry, I'm catching up on the chat. Couple minutes. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like I'm not even ticked off. I didn't ask for the first interview. I was told I was going to get it. I'm like, cool. That's really cool. That's swell. But that's a long way away, Oh God, the repairing of appliances is code to use satire around sexual prowess. Yes. You seem to be going back to drama. No, that is not just making jokes about fucking on appliances is not drama, dear. Okay. The hearing on the 23rd is at 2 p.m. and I hope to see a lot of you guys there at Suffolk Superior. Kazi has not filed anything. Nothing. Score for Patriots versus Texans. You mean Texans? I think the Patriots will win by 4 points. That'll be my pick. Maybe more, actually. I will say Patriots 24, Texans 17. That's my pick. 24-17. Have you gotten the snippet? Not yet. Not yet. Still doing the Turtle Boy birth control method, the chest. Yeah, go to Baker's after this. Absolutely. We love the Baker. Anybody else got anything? Let's see. Yeah, sex is in drama. It's fun. Exactly. Exactly. Yes. Baker stream after this. Okay. Oh, thank you. Oh, you're so sweet. See? This is the woman earlier who I thought was critical of me. And instead of going at her and being like, oh, fuck you. And I'm like, I just answer with kindness. And then she says, anybody who says you didn't do shit is delusional and full of it. Nobody can take what you did away from you. That's very kind of you. Thank you for saying that. Appreciate that. All right. Anybody else got anything? I'm just going to fast forward. Any more turtle chats? Let's see real quick. Last review of this. Couple. Felicia sends $5 and says, it seemed to me that Karen didn't want to talk about Higgy or the confrontation at the waterfall. Yeah. I mean, we don't know what she laid for ground rules or anything like that. So definitely not. Yeah. Higgins was not brought up at all. Was he really at all? Albert was, they all were, but not Higgy. Proctor, certainly. Helen sends $25, goes, you don't have to read this. You don't have to do that, Helen. I love you so much. Thank you so much. Jade sends $5 and says, we need Daytime Daddy more often. Thank you. I rarely get to be on the live streams thanks to the faraway time zones. You are so many daddies now. I finally picked one that I will call you. Daytime Daddy. I like that. Thank you so much. So, all right. Anyway, I guess I'm going to go and just check my Cash Apps one more time. Make sure I'm not missing anything. No, we're good. All right. Anyway, we will see you guys all for Sex Cult. I might do it Friday. Stay tuned, but probably tomorrow. If not, we'll talk soon. All right. I got to go take a leak. Peace to your bum grease, folks. Outie.
Screens glowing blue, got the facts in my headlights. Commonwealth tripping, but the truth stay calm. Morrissey and Lally, I'ma read them like Psalms. KP throwing shade from a broke down porch, but the files in my lap like a flame to a torch. I don't raise my voice, I just let the game speak. Steady with the grind while the crooked run weak. We just riding slow, gliding, paper stacking in the breeze. Turn the system up, let the whole town see. No mask on my face, no fear in my lane. I'ma shine that light on the ones bringing shame. From the courtrooms down to the city blocks. They can't hide from the truth, cause the truth don't stop. We just ride a slow grind. Midnight oil burning, pen hit the pad slow. Every word cut clean like the rims on the 6-4. From Boston to Brockton, the whispers all hum. Turtle boys riding in the reckoning gon' come. Lally in the back room, Morrissey on the phone. Trying to twist the narrative, but they can't postpone. I'm just sipping on the facts while the city play pretend. True, got no curfew, I'ma run it to the end. See, this ain't about fame. This about that long game. You can duck, you can weave, but the truth still call your name. We just riding slow, gliding, paper stacking in the breeze. Turn the system up, let the whole town see. No mask on my face, no fear in my lane. I'ma shine that light on the ones bringing shame. From the courtrooms down to the city blocks. They can't hide from the truth, cause the truth don't stop. We just riding slow, gliding.